talk show, bringing you the realest, uncensored conversations with the boldest man on the net, Lance Scurv.
Pretty soon it's going to say the oldest man on the net. I'm getting up there. It doesn't sound like boldest anymore when I play that, Mad Guns. Gonna jump right into it. Mad Guns forever. He's a scholar, a fitness trainer. He knows all about diet, and like I said in the little sentence I wrote, he's a Renaissance man, and I really mean that. You know, I big up and give credit where credit's due. When he speaks pure wisdom, and he researches stuff. So many people who are out here. Sweet Berry, Ben Anthony, Vlognosis. I like that name. Vlognosis. Huh? I'm so used to saying vlog, right? Vlog, right. Vlogging, and that's right. Vlognosis.
Yeah, he does a let me pick up my boy Vlognosis.
Yes,
he does a he has like a tech channel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
So like he has like a tech channel. So I'm trying to get my shit together. He does reviews on laptops and phones and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
man, that's what I need, man.
Check out my boy's channel, Vlognosis. Cool dude.
Right. I'm gonna subscribe to him in a little while.
I literally just told him about this show. I'm a big him up because I literally told him about this show like probably 2.5 minutes before we went on.
Wow.
And he jumped right on. He said first. So that's what's up.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Peace to Vlognosis.
W. Castle.
So sub to his channel.
Alan, yes, definitely. Sweet Berry. Yeah, a little different. That's okay.
Berry?
We're all a little different. And Marlon, what's up, my brother? Yes. Health and wellness tonight. And I'm gonna grab a little seat in a few seconds. I just want to say a few little things, little rambles for 2 minutes. I can't help myself. I'm a talkaholic. Make some sense of what I say. But driving my bus this week, I'm always deep in thought. I'm zoned out. I'm like a zombie. And I'm only conscious enough to get the job done, but my mind is elsewhere. So all day, watching the communities, and I see our people, which doesn't mean that our people that I see here in Orlando means that it's everybody across the globe or across the country. But it's a very specific slice. And people watch us. They watch us on television. They watch us in these videos. They watch us on Facebook and Twitter and these different fights and the tweet, the twerking, all these different things, and they form an opinion about us. And it doesn't mean that that's all we are. There's an agenda being pushed out there to push us to be seen in a certain light. So like life imitating art, many of us go and fall for that and live down to that decadent art. Life to decadent art. And it's wrong. We got to be more responsible for that. But for those who observe us and form the opinion, they have to understand that it's like a blind man going into the refrigerator to get that triple swirl ice cream that has vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. You can't say when you can't see or if the lights are out that I'm just going to go in there and get the chocolate. When you dip inside that ice cream and put it in your little bowl, you don't know what you're getting. There's more to us than meets the eye. And we need to detoxify ourselves from, and I always say something like this every time I have a little get together. CIA, Clarence, what's going on? Fallen Davis, yes, indeed. Yeah, I always, and for those who are calling in, just mute your phone if you're not talking, because it's gonna be me and Mad Guns. But yeah, we need to really check ourselves and understand that we're all not gonna make it. I already see that, and I had a very, I won't say depressing day one of these days this week. It put a lot of weight on me because I'm like, some people, they're so far gone off of normalcy that they got to work hard. And I'm not judging anybody. I don't think I'm better than anybody, but they're going to have to work hard for a long time just to come up to the basic levels of normalcy before they can even attain greatness. So at what point do we focus on ourselves? And we're always going to be here for our people, but we can't jump down in the pit of the hellfire and burn up because somebody's down there, and a lot of them don't even want to come up out of it. So there's going to be a time of separation. Like I always say, I said I was going to keep it to 2 minutes, Michael 4 or 5. But I'm a separatist. And it doesn't mean I'm just separating from just white people. I'm a separatist from bullcrap. I'm a separatist from decadence. I'm a separatist from not knowing how to manage your time. You know, when your time is running down, which all of our time is running down, and I always think that way from when I was 19 years old, 15 years old, I had some party years, but now more so than ever before, we need to live with a sense of urgency. I can tell a man or a woman by the way they walk down the street what they're all about. That's how sensitive I am. Person who's walking and they're on a mission. Even when they're relaxed and they're not doing nothing for the day, they still got this thing on them like, that person's about something, and you can't fake that. Go to a job interview and say, me put on a tie, and let me like a guy who really is a criminal. All our black brothers are, but a dude who never thought to wear a suit or a tie and put glasses on. Now he has a case where he knows his image is very important when he gets up in front of that judge and that jury. So now he puts on the glasses. You should have been. That's a manifestation of what's on the inside. And just like a lot of these cops who are out here in the street that want to profile us, it's a lot of it too is spiritual, and they can tell, no, that one is not one of those who we seek to go. We're going to have problems. He's too intelligent. And he must be connected to something. So when we get caught out there, oh man, you become black. Hand, a big joint with some crack sprinkled into the other, you smelling like weed, you funky, you can't possibly be representing your own business or being on a job. So you have profiled yourself. And these people reasons to come at us this way. Number one, and I was speaking to my wife on the way home because I just didn't have a chance to shave my head, so I'm really covering my head quick. You understand? I like to be presentable even when I'm home on a show. But just thoughts that hit me. 1 minute, y'all, and I'm done. Marching. Why don't we just stop buying their products? Why don't we stop watching their TV shows? Why don't we find ourselves for a time? You know, we are free where we can walk and go about, but we're not really free. Let's curtail that. Let's have an experiment for a month and give ourselves our own curfew. Have the cops driving up and down looking stupid. Or some cutbacks. Layoffs. They don't lay off police officers, do they? Right? But they're going to have to put them somewhere else because the crime has dropped. They're not there. I'm not saying we do crime, but in our neighborhoods, if crime is done and it's a black neighborhood, it's going to be a black person. If crime is done in a white neighborhood, it's going to be a white person. You know, we cross over and everything. But detox from their system. Don't buy their, stop going to the Chinese food joint. Stop going to the Korean joint for your hair. Stop going to the Korean joint for your fruit. They can't force you. We're locking you up for non-participation in our oppressive system. And save your money. Support each other. Even if you just, and stop giving these damn pastors your money. They take it straight to the politicians. Say a little whatever, and you ain't getting none of it. The hood's the hood, and it still has the churches where it is. But mainly, the things that you can control from right now is what you put in your body. That's a choice. Unless you have a hormonal issue or some kind of issue, and I'm speaking out of love, got the way we got. Y'all saw what I looked like when I was 19 years old. When I stopped training at 22 and decided to say, you know what, I'm tired of all this dieting and training. And I've been doing this for the last 6-7 years, competing from 16 years old in 95 different shows. I'm tired of it. These guys taking steroids. I'm not doing that. I don't want, let me see what I'm missing. Burgers. I knew better. And I blew up over 300 pounds at one point, not too many years ago. Feet swollen, jumping up. Goops of yogurt in the corner of my eye when I woke up in morning breath that killed the roaches 3 blocks down, right? I said, wait a second, I know better than this. I can control this. I can't blame anybody on this. So let's start doing what we can do, helping who we can help within our reach, and focus on ourselves. And that's why we have Brother Mad Guns Forever right here tonight. Brother Mad Guns, talk to me, man. It's going to take you a second.
No, I was on mute.
Okay, no, I know your rhythm. It's like after a while, that's why I say, you know, but yeah, man, we can do a lot better and get on YouTube. And, you know, I've had ratchet type shows and stuff, but people are like, why are you doing that? Get away from that. You know, I mean, we'll talk some crazy stuff sometime, but just straight up. So as per the request of most of the Lance Scurv show listeners, we're going to go higher, but we're also going to go deeper. Who have made wonderful comments, and I want to thank you all for subscribing to this channel, and we want to keep it growing, but we're always going to be accessible, and we're always going to interact in a way where to let you know that whatever you want to talk about or whoever you want to have on, we're going to have on. One more thing. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a former LAPD police officer who wants to speak on the current state of America with these police shootings, racism in the LAPD. I'm not going to say his name now. It's out there. It's written in, but I'll keep that. But he wrote several books, and he has a lot to say from experience from the inside. So all of those trolls who want to get on the show and say, oh, no, you're racist and so, we're going to speak to a police officer who can tell you from the inside. So I hope, and I'm glad I'm way on the East Coast, because LA is on the other side. They might come for me. They still might come for me. That damn Lance Scurv over there. You know what I mean? So I'm ready for you. And just like a troll told me today, you know, oh, you racist people, so-and-so. You're the first people to call the police when you're in trouble. And I told him, I said, listen, I've been pretty much maybe in a little danger. That's 3 times in the last 10 years. Now, you know, I had to say something slick. You know, New Yorkers are slick out the mouth. So I had to say, it ain't true, y'all, but look at the picture I painted to him. I said, listen, talking about, because evidently you don't know me. I said something to that effect, but read between the lines. I said, I just might be a big supporter of the NRA, and I just might be one who loves to feed the alligators. So there, alligators love me, hashtag alligators love to eat. You know, so he didn't answer back. It was like, damn, he's going to pop me in my leg with my bloody leg and throw me in the water. Alligator's going to eat me. You know? Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that one in. But yeah, what are we going to talk tonight, man? I mean, we know what we're going to talk about, but do you want to come from? I mean, we're going to get into your flow. I'm coming in on your highway, so I got to merge on with your thoughts.
I say one thing. It's funny that you said alligators, because I will be mentioning alligators a little later on. Something I wrote. You know, I want the people to know that I'll be reading from my book. I'll be reading from my script, because, you know, it's so much information I prepare beforehand. Some of it'll be off the head. But when I say my book, my book hopefully will be coming out in 2017. I should have 4 books that will be coming out between 2017 and 2019. And the book, my health book, is called The Monster in Your Belly: How the Western Industrial Food Complex is Slowly Killing You and Your Loved Ones. And that's basically focusing on the state of health in Western society. And just like the title says, you know, just trying to explain the industrial food complex. There are a lot of complexes. You know, there's the military complex, there's the prison industrial complex, there's the industrial food complex. So there's different complexes. And this is one of my loves. So I will definitely be talking about, be talking about that in the book. But, you know, for those that know me, for those that don't, I am a trainer and a nutritionist. I am a certified trainer with the International Sports Sciences Association, ISSA for short. And training is one of my loves, and just dispensing information. So I love to talk, you know, information when it's in your head. You know, it's not doing the public, it's not doing your loved ones and the people around you any good if it's just in your head and you don't share it.
Right.
You know, so, you know, when you have, I recommend to people that if you have information about something, or, you know, if you research things or you have information about things, you know, share it with, you know, your coworkers, your classmates, your church mates, you know, your family, whoever, you know, teach, you know, each one teach one, which, you know, again, is a term that, you know, seems to have been getting lost in these last few years. So, you know, each other. But in show one, if you missed it, the first show that we did was 6 hours long. Now the first 3 hours and 30 minutes was basically on you know, health and wellness and nutrition, and then in the second half, the last 3 hours, you know, we talked, you know, politics and different things.
Right.
I encourage all of you to check that out. It'll be in the link. It was about 3 weeks ago. When this show was Lance put it in a link, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it down below, and I'm also gonna put it like where you can click it on this screen after it's up. So that's gonna be like post-production type stuff, but it will be accessible. And what I'll do, I'm gonna make a section on my particular page where these shows will just be its own section. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all that stuff will be right there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it'll be easy because I have to also compartmentalize and bring some things to the forefront, like make it where my church shows, my relationship shows, and make different categories. And it's a whole lot, y'all. So bear with me, but it makes it easily accessible. So we'll make a section in there to do on the health and wellness and stuff.
Right, and for the people that are subscribed to my page, it's also uploaded on my page as well. So, you know, that's what it is. But in show number 1, about chemical food additives, about soy sauce. Which tell me where you've been on Facebook or YouTube or wherever that taught about soy sauce. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. I taught about MSG, and I taught about Monsanto and GMOs, and we touched briefly on the supplement game, aka sports nutrition. And we're going to finish that tonight.
Yes.
And tonight we'll discuss cooking. We'll talk about the African American diet, and we'll talk about we might talk about bread. Everybody's favorite is bread. We might talk about bread, and if we have time, maybe we'll I'll drop some doctors on everybody. I'll check out on the internet and on YouTube. You know, some really good doctors. You know, rich people. I expect, you know, everybody here. Hopefully, everybody here is, you know, progressive and all about learning and research. But, you know, remember, this is a live show, but, you know, at the same time, you know, it's an aftermarket. You can see it later. So for people who watch this 2 months from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, you know, there's a lot here for you. You know what I mean? So, you know, just to get into these doctors and start to research their work and everything. So, yeah, no doubt. And then, you know, this is going to be a series that we're doing. And in part 3, we'll possibly discuss Big Pharma. We'll discuss the holistic doctor deaths. We'll discuss the vaccination deception. And possibly we'll talk about stratospheric aerosol geoengineering programs, aka chemtrails. Possibly. I think chemtrails is a myth, but, you know, people need to understand they are spraying us from the air. There are people that will go to their grave swearing that, you know, chemtrails are real, and they are. I mean, you know, we'll get into that in part 3, but chemtrails are real. I encourage, since we touched on it, to research it, you know, that way you have a leg up for part 3.
Right.
So yeah, no doubt. But in part 1, we talked a lot about food additives. And that's important because, you know, America puts a lot of food additives in their food that are banned in other countries, you know, so that already tells you something bad about America and the industrial food complex, and also, you know, tells you that, you know, these ingredients are insidious. And it's important to, you know, just touch back on that a little bit, because as we talk about the supplement deception and sports nutrition, the main crux of that is, you know, food additives and such and such. So for people here who work out, for people here who understand sports nutrition, for people here that may begin to work out after this conversation, this is very, 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 very important.
Yes.
Sports nutrition obviously is one of my loves. It's something that I embraced a whole lot. And it's dear to me because, you know, sometimes in life, we come to a realization that we were wrong about something, you know, that we were doing something wrong, whether it was physically, mentally, spiritually, or whatever. And when I first got into sports nutrition, I was doing something wrong. And, you know, sports nutrition is a multi-million to, you know, $1 billion industry worldwide. You know, it's just getting bigger and bigger every year. And, you know, also that's something that Lance can co-sign on, as, you know, he was a bodybuilder years ago. So he understands, you know, the science, and he understands, you know, he understands the sports nutrition game. So, so basically let's go in. So, you know, there's been an explosion of the exercise sciences, and actually it's kind of a negative explosion, more or less. The supplement game, like I said, is $1 billion industry, but it's not what it's cracked up to be. People really need to know what they're doing and be careful. Like, I'm happy to see you walking in the GNC. I'm happy to see you walking in the vitamin shop, or, you know, if you're not dealing with the chains, if you're doing a smaller independent shop, you know, I'm happy to see you walk in there, but you need to go in there with a more than a basic knowledge, because while you're doing something good, you can actually end up poisoning yourself, which is exactly what I admit to doing myself. You know, I admit that. You know, I mean, I was, for quite a few years, especially, you know, these last 11 years as I've been living in Atlanta, I was literally poisoning myself for 10 out of those 11 years.
Yes.
Myself. And, you know, again, doing something good, but on a molecular level, on a cellular level, I was poisoning myself because of the ingredients. So, again, you know, if you're getting into bodybuilding or you're getting into working out, you need to know that, you know, you're at great risk if you are not paying attention, if you don't learn about, the insidious side of sports nutrition. And again, if you're not learning about, you know, these insidious ingredients. So that's why show number 1, I again recommend you go listen to show number 1 about food additives. It's important. You know, it's something that's gonna possibly save your life.
Yes.
So basically, now there's an endless supply of protein powders, mass builders, creatines, BCAAs, which is branched chain amino acids, L-glutamines, amino acids, meal replacements, beta alanines. You know, it's just the industry is just, it's light years ahead of where it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And, you know, Lance knows all those names from back in the day. Like, you know, now we know guys like Jay Cutler, what are some of these other
Phil
names?
Heath,
I wasn't prepared.
Kai Green.
Kai Green, yeah. Kai Green.
Big Ramy, Big Ramy. If you ever see him, oh my God. Sean Roden, who took second in Olympia. Phil Heath has been in Olympia the last 6 years. He's won that. And you know, and let me just interject that I spoke with my friend Bill Grant. He was one of my idols growing up. World-class bodybuilder legend, Mr. World, Mr. America. I've been in the Olympia, professional shows, all of that back in the 70s and 80s. And we did an interview with him about 2 years ago. He might be listening now because I sent him the link. Bill, if you're listening, look below the 888 number. That's what you can call him later on if you want to add a little 2 cents in. But this is Mad Guns show tonight. But you're right, Mad Guns. Let me just interject this part because I want you to be the one mostly talking. But the body doesn't change. I mean, like, the body hasn't evolved much in the last, you know, 1,000 years, pretty much. But we've learned more about the body, and it's been for good. But commercially, you have these entities, these corporations that step in, and they want to profit off of our ignorance because now they've pushed this remedy or cure or higher level in a bottle mentality, and they're profiting off of that. And I would say most of these supplements out here it's a waste of money. And you're right about poisoning yourself, because I remember when I went to the High School of Art and Design from back in 78, and I was training back then. There was a vitamin shop about 3 blocks before, and I used to just take whatever money I made with my father and go in there and I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that. I mean, from 13 years I had rose up, and I know that I had poisoned myself too by the way that I was feeling. You know, so they play on our insecurities. They make us feel like, and we think like, well, I need this, let me get that. Or what is that for? Nothing beats hard work in the gym, sensible, rest, and good dietary practices, necessary nutrition. All the extra stuff, if you don't need it, it's like taking a gallon of water and pouring it into an 8-ounce glass. It's just going to spill over, and you're going to have expensive urine and feces, and that's it. Let me shut up. Go ahead, Mad Guns.
All right, now interject. You know what's up, but yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, you know, there's just an endless supply of, you know, all kind of, you know, you walk in GNC vitamin shop, it's just aisles full of stuff that, you know, you think is great, but realistically is not. I'm going to do my best to not name any companies.
Feel free.
No. I kind of for myself said I don't want to single anybody. I don't want to really name any companies, but
all right.
You know, and again, there's a whole, even compared to 5 years ago. Also, I used to work, I was a trainer at Crunch. So people, if you know Crunch gyms, I used to be a trainer in Crunch, Atlanta. So, you know, it's all gravy, baby. But the sports drinks too. I mean, it's just so many sports drinks. And, you know, you got pre-workout, you got intro workout, you got post-workout, you got non-workout. I mean, they go in, you know, it's just all kind of drinks and powders, and, you know, it's just a lot of stuff. And the thing is, a lot of these products contain artificial flavors and colors, and again, the ingredients that we talked about.
Yes.
And a lot of these protein powders and a lot of these mass gainers, and like I said, these other powders like L-glutamines and amino acids and meal replacements and creatines, they all contain aspartame, sucralose, ACE-K, food dyes, and all kind of other wonky ingredients, you know, on that the ingredients to avoid and banned in other countries lists, which I have. I have a little aside, you know, on that show, I gave out my email address. Now, everybody doesn't do that. Now, I gave out one of my alternate email addresses.
Yes.
You know, 2 people emailed me. Now, I got to call out Fallon Davis. Fallon was somebody, I think, she literally emailed me probably 2 minutes after the show was over.
Beautiful. And
she can probably co-sign. I sent her like a wealth of information. So, you know, again, if you want good information, I have all kind of PDFs. I have all kind of Word documents that I put together, stuff from my book, stuff that I put together for myself, stuff that I put together for my clients. If you're interested in any of this stuff, hit me up at MADGUNS Amalgamated. I'm not spelling it. MADGUNS Amalgamated at gmail.com. You know, got to work your brain. MADGUNS Amalgamated at gmail.com. And you let me know, you know, what you're interested in, what you heard on the show. And again, I can, you know, because I'm here to help. You know what I mean? Again, my father has equipped me with the drive and the knowledge to help others. And that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do until my dying day. That's what I'm going to do until my brain stops working. That's what I'm going to do until my body stops working. You know, I'm going to help others, you know. Right. And if you help others, you know, your father may help you as well. So that's what's up. But anyhow, like I said, these powders and a lot of these drinks contain aspartame, sucralose, ACE-K, and dyes, and those are things you really want to stay away from. You know, you want to stay away from aspartame and sucralose. You find a lot of that stuff in diet sodas and diet drinks, and they are really not good for you. You want to stay away from excitotoxins. They mess up your metabolism, and they really just kind of mess you up on a cellular level. So you want to stay away from that. And, you know, it's like I said, it's not just in, you know, sports nutrition, but, you know, it's in diet sodas and all kind of other stuff that's sugar free. I'm going to keep naming those because those are three very insidious things that you want to stay away from. Again, aspartame, sucralose, and ACE-K. And there are a lot of powders out there that just have that in it. You know, you can pick up a powder right now, and somewhere at the end, you're going to see aspartame and sucralose or ACE-K, and there's just really no reason for that. And also, we're talking about sports drinks, not just the specialized drinks, but also Powerade and Gatorade. Yeah, I'm naming y'all.
Yes, and thanks again. Gatorade. Thanks again for hipping me to that, man. Because I used to drink. Yeah, I used to put pictures of it up. Like, yeah, I'm buying 20 of these for the next couple of days. And
yeah. See, the problem with those drinks, and I'll probably touch on that in a minute. But the problem with those drinks is that they have really wonky ingredients. And, you know, when you get the purple and you get the blue and you get the red and you get all these, that's all dye. Right. You know what I mean? That's all dye. And, you know, why are you drinking dyes? You know what I mean? Like, you really don't need to drink dye. And the problem is, too, when we're talking about like powders and drinks, your body absorbs liquid much faster than solids. So you're basically just poisoning yourself at a quicker pace when you drink these things.
That's right.
So you want to be careful. You know, you really, really, really want to be careful. So like I said, you know, I did it to myself. You know, I poisoned myself, and this is crazy. Now, what it was not only was I trained at Crunch, but I had a hookup in GNC. So when I tell you that I used to get just hundreds of samples and discounted items, it was crazy. So for a good 10 years, man, I mean, again, I just got to be honest, you know, I was really poisoning myself. Now, when I say poisoning myself, I mean, I didn't see any side effects. It's just, you know, as I got more into understanding these insidious ingredients, you know, and then really come to found that they were in sports nutrition, you know, I had to back off. So I don't, you know, I just don't do that. I don't do that anymore. But I took tons and tons of that stuff. Just, man, I tell you, thanks, Javon. That's my boy, Javon. If you're in Atlanta, look up my boy, Javon and GNC on Flash Shows. He got a lot of knowledge. He'll hook you up too. He has a lot of knowledge. So again, anybody that's in Atlanta, the GNC on Flash Shows, check out Javon. He definitely got your back. But anyhow, just keeping it real, when I gave up Powerade because straight up Powerade had like high fructose corn syrup in it. So, you know, that's basically when you start learning about these insidious ingredients, you know, high fructose corn syrup is like one of the first things you learn. Yeah. So I gave up Powerade, but I still drank Gatorade.
Let me interject though. I had the Powerade Zero, which didn't have it, but it was just as bad for the things that it had in it. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know what this kind of side effect was, but when I would drink a lot of it, and it had a slightly slimy, I'll make up a word, plasticky kind of feel to it that when it went in me, and I couldn't hold, it's not like I can't hold myself and go to the bathroom, but when it's time to go and take a leak, it would come harder, like out of nowhere, like water's different. But this Powerade Zero, it was like, I gotta go now. And the moment, and sorry, we're adults here, I'm just telling you how it felt, y'all. The moment when you're standing over, you know, I don't squat, I stand, and you're about to let go, when you let go, it's still pushing. It was like a greased pan, and it just came out, but it wasn't like water. I'm not saying it was like slime, but it just felt like the insides of my urinary tract was coated in a way. That's the way it felt. I'm very sensitive to my body. I can tell when I'm going to be sick 3 days from now, like I don't feel right. I'm fighting something and I beat it and it went away. I'm still very much in touch with my body. And that's the way it felt. And it feels so good to not have that in me anymore. And I never really felt hydrated when I drank it. Nothing beats water. Go ahead, brother.
All right. So yeah, definitely. So when I came off of Powerade, I still drank Gatorade, but I stopped drinking Gatorade not only because of the dyes, but it has bromelated vegetable oil, or BVO for short. So I definitely stopped fooling with that. So actually, let me just give people a concoction right now. If you drink any of those sports drinks that they sell at the gym or wherever else, or if you drink Powerade, Gatorade, stop drinking that stuff, stop buying that stuff. And let me tell you what to do right now. You can make your own intro workout drink. You make, now, like Lance just said, water's the best, but some people like taste. I myself like a combination, because you really, in the gym is where you're supposed to drink like a lot. You know, you're supposed to drink more in the gym or when you're running or whatever than any other time of the day. You know, especially if you're somebody who sweats a lot like me.
Yeah, me too.
You really should drink a lot. So I recommend that you drink a lot, but leave those things alone. And let me tell you right now what to do. I like taste, so I can't do just straight water. Anytime I have to do straight water in the gym, to be honest, I'm unhappy. I don't like straight water. I like water, but I also like something with taste. So I usually have 2 bottles, because I'm drinking water and then I'm drinking something else. So basically, let me give y'all the science. And Lee Jordan says he drinks Powerade Zero. So let that be your last Powerade Zero. Let me tell you what to do right now. You can go to a lot of stores. You can even, matter of fact, there's a brand that I buy. I don't remember the name right now, but there's a brand that I buy from Walmart. You can go to Walmart right now. Who can't find a Walmart? There's a big jug. It's like a 2-gallon jug of aloe vera juice. And this brand, again, I don't know. I would give the name. I don't have one right here. I don't know the name, but it's really stripped down. It's like aloe vera juice. No other ingredients. Literally aloe vera juice and water. It's like no insidious ingredients or whatever, but it's a very flat taste. There's no added sugars either. So it's a very flat taste.
Right.
So again, if you need some taste like I do, you're going to want to mix it with something. So basically, you make your own intro workout drink. Now, it's not as convenient as Powerade or Gatorade or whatever, but again, if you want to live, do what I'm telling you. You go buy that big jug of aloe vera juice. It's less than $7.
It's worth it.
You go and you can buy coconut water, or if you have access to it, I suggest buying real coconuts. When you do real coconut, especially my favorite is young coconut. When you do real coconut or young coconut, you get an added bonus because you get the flesh. So you can either eat the flesh or put the flesh in a shake.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you take aloe vera juice,
and you get the unknown. You get the unknown nutrients and qualities of these foods. The more natural you go, just because man hasn't discovered the things that are in there, doesn't mean there's not things in there that we don't need. And they always think about that. Man may filter something down and say, this is what's inside of this. But, in creation, the way God made everything, there are things that we can't comprehend that get in us and affect us a certain way. It has life force in it. And those are unknown qualities. But if we go to the source, it's the best thing made for us. Sorry to cut you off, brother. Go ahead.
No. We interacting. You're not cutting nobody. We interacting. But yeah, see, that's the thing. The most important thing is electrolytes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hydration and electrolytes. Obviously plain water doesn't have electrolytes, whatever. But for the aloe vera juice, the coconut water, and for some taste, a little bit of sugar, you can mix in some orange juice, or you can mix in some pineapple juice, or whatever clean drink, that has some sugar and some taste. You can mix it. You mix 3 or 4 things, and you're just great. It's just a great drink, and you're really giving your body something righteous. So definitely try and do that, and everybody here should be doing that, because again, I'd like to see everybody here in the gym or working out or running. I don't care if you in the gym. I don't care if you in your house, you should be doing something. That's a love of mine. Black people, everybody, but especially, Black people, we need to work out. I think I'll be hitting on that later, but we definitely need to work out. And, you know, as you're working out, it's important that as you work out, you drink right, you supplement right, and you eat right, or else you're kind of wasting your time.
Yep.
You could really just be doing something else. So, you know, it starts there.
That's right.
But also, the supplement industry has a problem with heavy metals, not the music, literally heavy metals. You know, in their products, and the industry is in straight denial about it as well. So, you know, there's right now there's millions of health conscious people, man, who are buying contaminated products, and you know, they really need to really just pull it together and know what you're buying. You know what you're buying. I will big up one brand, Now Foods, and they're not the only people. Matter of fact, there's a few. Now Foods makes a really great protein powder that I use, and it's really stripped down. There's no dyes, there's no added sugars. The sugar they use is actually, I believe it's called xylitol. And you know, for people who understand about xylitol, for people who understand about stevia, you know, those are the kind of sugars you want. You know what I mean? Even natural cane sugar, brown sugar, those are the kind of sugars that you want to use. You know, you don't want anything with sugar. When you see something with sugar in it, it's actually not even really sugar, and it's actually GMO sugar, because the sugar, when you see these products, come from sugar beets. That's not sugar. That's from sugar beets. And the sugar beets are GMO. So, you know, you really, really, really want to, you really want to stay away from that. But, you know, like I said, you really want to stay away from that.
Let me interject really quick that Denzel Hampton made the mention is Fruit of the Earth, the brand name for the aloe vera juice that you were speaking about. Fruit of the Earth. Was that it? Just to ring a bell?
It might be that. It might be that. He might be researching, so he might have just went to the Walmart website and found that. So if he indeed did that, then that's the name of it. But it's in a big jug. It's like in a gallon or a 2-gallon jug. I mean, got a handle. That's how big it is. I can co-sign on that one. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely co-sign on that one. And there's some other aloe vera juices. You got to be careful with aloe vera, Joe, because like, especially when you go to the Asian, markets, you know, you got to be careful, because those aloe juices, they have dye in it, and a lot of them have high fructose corn syrup. So you got to be careful when you go to the Asian markets. You know, you got to be, you just got to watch what you're doing. But you got to be careful. A lot of these products are contaminated, and when you buy contaminated products, that's going to contribute to kidney damage and liver damage and brain damage. Like, it's that serious. So if you want to protect your entire body from heavy metals, read your labels and do your research. So let me just break down BVO real quick. BVO, which is brominated vegetable oil, which is in Gatorade, that's used to stabilize the citrus flavor in a lot of the varieties of sport drinks. And BVO that you're drinking when you drink Gatorade or whatever else is in, it's an industrial flame retardant. So hello, I don't think you want to drink anything that's a flame retardant. And it's good in America. It's all good. You can go to your corner store right now and you can get, you know, Gatorade with BVO in it, but it's banned in Germany and Japan and the European Union. So again, what does that tell you? You know, there's, again, you know, a lot of times we like to look down on other countries, but in some regards, a lot of countries, they have it right. You know, so, you know, you just got to be on top, and everything is just, you know, again, everything is just a Yahoo or Google away from learning about it and changing your life. But excess consumption of BVO can cause a condition named called bromism, which can cause skin lesions and memory loss, tremors, fatigue, loss of muscle coordination, and headaches. So, you know, here's another thing. When you come down with something, you might have a little rash, you might be this or might be that. You know, sometimes that stuff is not really natural. It could be something in your diet that brought that on. You know what I mean? So you may get a rash and then not realize that, you know, damn, it's from the Gatorade or something else. You know what I mean? So you really want to be careful. But in moving on, not only is BVO insidious, but you want to stay away from something that they put in these beverage, especially the fruit flavored ones, is glycerol ester of wood rosin.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, so glycerol ester of wood rosin is actually a trace of real wood rosin, and it's in a lot of citrus flavored sodas as well, and fruit drinks. So this is where the wood rosin enters the picture. It's collected from the stumps of longleaf pine trees. Then it's mixed with other ingredients to form a thickening agent called ester gum.
Yeah.
Then ester gum is used to thicken or stabilize food products such as chewing gum and ice cream, but it would be too thick for beverages. So when you the ester wood rosin is combined with glycerol, then it becomes suitable as a stabilizer. So that is in Gatorade. So again, you got to be careful. It's in Powerade too, and gosh, I got to blow a lot of people up. Unfortunately,
don't hold back.
Vitamin water.
Hold back.
Vitamin water. You know, I was big on vitamin water. I used to buy it by the case. You know, freak a bottle. I used to buy it by the case. You know, I used to go to BJ's, buy a case of that. You know what I mean? I helped make 50 Cent rich. You need to give me some of that money back to keep it real. Yo, 50, if you listening, slide me a check, homie. I know you ain't really bankrupt. You can fool them other guys.
Exactly.
Me. Cut me a check. Exactly. I helped you get rich. But you want to stay away from vitamin water. And for my West Indian, for my Caribs out there, we have a product in the Caribbean called Lucozade. And also back in Britain, we have a product called Lucozade. It's found mostly in Europe. But it's made by a big pharma company called GlaxoSmithKline. So, and I was also big on Lucozade. You know, the 4 things here I mentioned, I'm telling you, I should drink like crazy. Gatorade, Powerade, vitamin water, and Lucozade. But, you know, you got to stay away from these things. And Lucozade also has aspartame, ACE-K, and dyes. So, you know, again, we got to stay away from that. All right, let's try to wrap this up and get through this. There's a second component of these drinks, which is sucrose, dextrose, and glucose fructose, which is maltodextrin, which is basically a carbohydrate blend.
Isn't it more of a complex? It's more of a complex. It burns a little slower in the system, but still, nonetheless, it's still lethal.
Yeah, it's just sugar. Yeah, it's basically, you know, all this stuff is really maltodextrin is just sugar. You know, don't let them scientific names fool you. You know what I'm saying? They'll basically have the same results on your metabolic system, and they'll basically just raise your blood sugar and your triglyceride levels.
That's right.
And, you know, it'll release insulin. You know, to triglyceride level will release insulin, and it'll prompt your body to store a lot of those calories as fat. So, you know, again, you want to stay away from that. And anything marked preservatives, you know, again, look, preservatives is there, you know, we discussed this in show 1, preservatives are there to make things be able to stay on the shelf. So if it makes food last unnaturally long, what do you think it's doing to your body? You know what I'm saying? So you really want to stay away from that. And, you know, again, even in touching back on these insidious ingredients, you know, a lot of these things, they have dual uses. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, monopotassium and potassium phosphate, for instance. You know, pick up something in your closet or when you go to the store, just look. That stuff is used as a fertilizer and a fungicide. You know what I'm saying? You are not supposed to be putting things in your body. There's sometimes where science is really just not your friend. So, you know, again, you want to stay away from that. A lot of times you'll see something that have calcium chloride that can mess up your esophagus and your throat and irritate your stomach, you know, if you take it in large enough concentrations. So, and again, a lot of these products, you know, they are sourced from GMO crops.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, you know, again, you really want to be careful. But there are, you know, wrapping this up now, there are a lot of clean proteins and powders to choose from. You really want to find stripped down powders. I basically make a concoction of creatine, BCAAs, and L-glutamine as my pre-workout and my intra-workout drink. And I do buy them from Now Foods. It's just a straight white powder. There's no dye, there's no added ingredients. It's just like really stripped down. So again, I recommend people to buy Now Foods. And there's other brands out there that, you know, I'm not going to get into right now, but, you know, check them out.
How about Carol in the chat room wants to know about Almacid, if I'm pronouncing it correct. ALM.
I am not aware of them right now. I might know their products.
Right.
But I'm not familiar with them right now. So if I don't know them right this second.
Right. We'll research it and just throw a name out there in the comment section. This is wonderful because with these shows that we do, we have the comment section and people can come back and add things in that listen to it afterwards. So that's a wonderful thing, you know?
Yeah, but Carol, again, you know, this is why we're being so detailed. So for Carol, it's not necessarily the brand that you need to worry about. You need to just look at the ingredients. So as you're talking about Almacid, you just look at whatever, you know, whatever it is, whatever their product is, whether they're making a protein powder or, you know, just a regular smoothie, whatever it is, you want to make sure it has very stripped down ingredients. Basically, the key to buying anything out there is the less ingredients on the label, the better. And here is another trick, people. Especially for people who are older, you know, as you get into your late 30s and your 40s and your 50s, you know, your eyesight starts to deteriorate a little bit. If you noticed, they make the ingredients list small.
Yeah. You
they
notice
small
that?
Now. It wasn't like that back in the day. It's small now. They don't want you to read it. They know a lot of times you don't have your glasses. You're in the store, you don't have time. You know, you don't have your glasses. You don't have your reading glasses, and you ain't got a magnifying glass. So, you know, you're just going to pick up stuff, you know what I mean? And you're going to roll with it. You know what I mean? So that, again, that's the reason why they make them so small. So, you know, they're hoping that you don't read it. So basically, like, there's a couple of brands of, I remember talking about iced tea last time. There's a couple of, I make my own sweet tea, but, you know, there's a couple of brands out there that, you know, when I don't have an opportunity to make it, I buy it. You know what's in it?
What's in it?
Tea, water, sugar. My gosh, how easy is that?
Right.
When you go buy these other teas from these brand name companies, I mean, it's like 6 to 8 ingredients and caramel coloring. And what did I say last time? How are you going to put caramel coloring in tea when tea already has color?
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm telling you, they are trying to poison you. So again, let's be careful. And so, like, again, you want to be careful. You want to stay away from artificial ingredients and colorants. You know what I mean? So you want to, again, soy lecithin, xanthan gum, you know, it's you want to stay away from these things. Now, again, I can tell you it's not easy to find a workout supplement with a clean profile, but you can find it. And for people that want to, I recommend also that people do supplement with protein powders or meal replacement powders. You need to give, I should be talking about this later, but you want to give your digestive system a break sometimes. You know, you don't want to you don't have to, look, you don't have to eat heavy every day. You know, you can give yourself a break. And realistically, we're supposed to eat 4 to 6 times a day. Now, again, with today's society, people that work 8 hours a day, 2 hours or more travel time, you can't really eat. A lot of people can't eat 4 to 6 times a day. But I recommend meal replacements or protein powders. And, you know, you don't need these brand name powders. There's a whole bunch of pea protein, hemp protein, brown rice protein, egg white protein, organic quinoa, and other plant-based proteins out there. Their companies are out there. They're not hiding. You know, you can find those. And then you can throw stuff in there when you make these powders. You throw in some oatmeal. A lot of people eat oatmeal. You don't have to just eat oatmeal. Did you know that you could throw oatmeal in a powder?
Right.
You can throw oatmeal in anything. You can, you know, you could just some almond milk, some oatmeal, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You can make your own, you know, you can make your own smoothies. So,
and on that note,
oatmeal.
Let me interject something else that with what you were saying about giving yourself a break. See, we have been forced to think on a 24-hour-a-day basis. You know, some of us will eat something 11 o'clock at night, and it comes 1 o'clock in the morning, and because midnight brought in a new day on paper, we forget that was 2 hours ago. And we said, well, I had this to eat yesterday, but yesterday was 2 hours ago. It's 1 in the morning. Well, 11 o'clock is only 2 hours ago. We have to think of our body as a machine that works continuously. And just because we may not shove down as much protein for a particular day. Don't think that you have to be so rigid in what you take in, because your rate of absorption is different. Me, myself, as an experiment, which I do, but I bring a very similar amounts of food to work with me every day. I fill up before I leave, and I'm not diabetic, but I treat myself like one, and we all need to do that, but I keep my blood sugar level up, and I nibble for the rest of the day. So I never get hungry. But then again, I have maximum absorption of the food as it's needed, because I don't nibble until I'm hungry and want to, right? Now, that being said, there are days when I'm ready to come home toward the end of my shift, and I look down at my bag and I'm like, wow, I only ate 75% of what I normally eat, or 50% of what I normally eat, due to, I don't want to say the word stress, because I don't really think I get stressed, but I'll just say, for the sake of brevity, the stress levels are different, your output is different, your thoughts are different, your metabolism is different every day, meaning the whole total rate of how fast your bodily functions work. So sometimes you are just not going to eat all of the food, and sometimes for no reason, out of nowhere, I'll eat up the day's worth of food after 3 hours, and I do 10-hour shifts. I'm like, my God, what's wrong with me? And then 2 hours later, 5 hours in, it's like, I don't have any more food in my bag. I got to get something. And so I always make sure to get something in accordance of what I eat, but I'll eat a lot for some reason. The bottom line is, go with what your body's telling you. Like, we read the labels, we see the amount of calories and all this and that, but go according to what your body's telling you. Mrs. Scurv and I worked hard in the yard earlier today in the hot Florida sun. We had runs to do. I had things to do on the phone, messages, stuff on the computer. I told you, Mad Guns, what kind of day I had today earlier, right?
Yeah.
And she for some reason, that hit her hard, where she's knocked out right now. She's like, I'm so tired. And she never complains about that. She could do 7, 8, 9 hours in the sun for days on end, and it won't bother her. But this tipped the scale. So you listen to your body. The main thing when it comes to food, when it comes to your rest, even when it comes to your exercise, you're in the gym and you feel to do something that you normally do, and at the end of it, it's like, I'm craving to do more. Hey, do a little more. Listen to your body. Watch the signs. I'll shut up. Go ahead, man.
Absolutely. Let me address Christy51 in the chat. Fasting is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with fasting. When you're fasting, you're fasting. But when you ask, do we need 3 meals a day? I mean, our metabolism, think about your vehicle. Your vehicle doesn't take a break when it comes to fuel. If your vehicle is running, it's drinking petrol, right? So there you go. So how are our bodies any different from the vehicles that we drive or we ride in? You know what I'm saying? It's constantly using fuel. So we do need 4 to 6 meals a day. But when we say meals, don't think we're talking about big sit-down meals. You know, a meal could be like a snack. You know, a meal could be like a fruit plate. You know, a meal could be like a small portion. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be, you know, we're not talking about going to Golden Corral and, like, you know, going in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not talking about going to a buffet and going in. You know, we're talking about, you know, small meals, small plates. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just small. You know, it could be something very, very, very small, but something to keep your metabolism up. You know, your metabolism needs something. And when you see, a lot of times when, you know, you see people, they get the afternoon tiredness, you know what I'm saying, the afternoon crash or the early evening crash. Not to say that we can't be tired, you know, mentally and physically, but a lot of that too is from, you know, our diets. You know, we're not giving the body, you know, we're not giving our bodies the fuel it needs, and we're not giving it the right foods, you know. So, I mean, you know, again, make a fruit plate. You know, when you say meal, again, you're thinking about a plate. Oatmeal, you know, a meal could be a bowl of oatmeal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some farina, or, you know, for my Carib people, some porridge, you know. So, you know, I mean, it could be something small but nutritious. You know, like I said, we're not talking about, you know, Murder King or Wendy's or, you know, anything like that. So wonderful. We got through that. So I hope everybody learned a lot about the supplement game. You know, again, school yourselves, school your people, totally give up these drinks and these powders. And that's that. Let's move on.
Yes.
All right. So now let's get into cooking in America. I may sound robotic during this one a little bit. I'm going to be reading from my book, basically. So if I sound a little robotic or whatever, it's me reading from a book. So basically, I write here that the lack of cooking in America and African American society is negative and reverse social engineering. Basically, is destruction, continued destruction of the nuclear family. And with the explosion of single-parent households in the African-American community, you know that they're not sitting down and eating together. This contributes to the loss of family bonds and bonds with neighbors as well, as people don't sit down to foster togetherness anymore. When you look at tribal cultures, the men hunt, fish, and they gather, and the women tend to the children and the community, and they basically prep and cook what the men bring back. Then they sit and eat together as a community, as a united tribe, as a united people. We as Africans, we did that. Mm-hmm. We were a tribal people. How much of that are we doing right now? As we have lost that, we have lost ourselves and we have lost our health. Just alerting people, there are two components of the Back to Africa movement. A lot of people think Back to Africa is jumping on a boat or jumping on a plane.
Right.
Nah, there's another component of going back to Africa for all the people of color that are here.
That's right.
There's a mental aspect. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to get on a boat to go back to Africa. You can go back to Africa in the mental.
Yes.
So many people forget that.
I'll be right back, man. Restroom. Keep talking.
All right, absolutely. So, you know, we can go back to Africa in the mental, you know, and that's what we really, you know, that's what we need to do. But we've lost ourselves, you know, with as far as the cooking and the eating. If we can get back mentally to African or Caribbean or Indian or Amerindian society, we'll do much better as a people. It's time for us to realize that this European ancient evil society is killing us slowly through the industrial food complex. So we got to do better. And our forebearers, I mean, our parents, if we have older parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, they weren't subjected to the fake food that we are today. Now, they may not have ate well. They may have ate some things that, you know, were remnants of other societies, or, you know, remnants, let's just keep it real. They might have been remnants of the society that we were once under here in the West, here in America. But they weren't subjected to all this fake food. And like I said before in the first show, you know, you can do a test. You can take one of these, you know, new food items, show it to your mother, show it to your grandmother. And if she doesn't recognize something on there as food, it's not food. You know, basically, it's just not, you know, it's not food. It's fake food. Your grandmother, I can guarantee your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, she didn't cook with maltodextrin. She didn't cook with MSG. She didn't cook with brominated vegetable oil. She didn't cook with TBHQ. She didn't cook with sulfites. She didn't cook with high fructose corn syrup. She didn't cook with partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. She didn't cook with these things. So when your mother, your grandmother, whatever, when, you know, when they look at these things, you know, they didn't cook with that. So if they didn't cook with it, you know, why are we eating it? We really shouldn't eat it. So we got to do a lot better. Now, this is the cooking section, so we just got to keep it real. I know a lot of women that really don't even know how to shop properly. You know, they walk into a grocery store and they just start grabbing stuff, grabbing a lot of familiar items. But it's funny, they can shop for shoes. You shop for handbags, but, you know, can't shop for food. Well, you know, hey, eat your shoes and your handbags, but whatever, we move on. But the problem with grabbing familiar things is that familiarity and comfort foods, they are, you know, they are two things that contribute to obesity. So obesity, poor health, and obesity and diet-related diseases are a topic that, you know, we need to address. Even though we're talking about our mothers and fathers, we're talking about our sisters and brothers, our aunts and uncles, our cousins, and other people we love. And, you know, some people might even be talking about themselves. So, but I indeed, unfortunately, I have to hold today's society of women accountable. Basically, there are a myriad of cooking shows on TV and YouTube. So as a female, you know, if you're spending your time, you know, on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, Snapchat, or, you know, you just, you know, you're making vines and memes all day, what are you not learning? You know, those are really time consuming and fruitless endeavors. And when you say that you don't know something, but yet you do all those other things, that's kind of a problem. You know, it's really a problem. So you need to drop a lot of those things out your life and start learning. The problem is too much of right now, you know, good and well, we live in a thought nation. You know, it's just thought nation. You know, it's a thought nation mentality. You know what I mean? So, you know, we got to get out of that and start really concentrating on how we eat, how we shop, and how we cook. Now, let's not get it twisted. I hold men accountable too. You know, men, if you can't cook, but you can, you know, you could kill NBA 2016 or Assassin's Creed or Metal Gear Solid or whatever else game you play on your PlayStation 2 or your Xbox or whatever. If you could do all of that, but you can't cook, well, dude, you lacking too. You know what I'm saying? You lacking too. I definitely hold you accountable, men. It's not a game. You know what I mean? If you're playing games, but you can't cook, you know, I mean, that's I hate to kind of use this word, but that's kind of a simp move. You know what I mean? It's you lacking. And, you know, when you can't cook and you aren't concerned with learning how to cook or eat right, the problem with that is you're telling me that your children or your future children will also be lacking nutritionally somehow. So, you know, not having cooking skills as parents is detrimental to the health and welfare of the children, you know. So, you know, and you're not just affecting you, you know, when you're not cooking, when you're not feeding your children right, and you're not teaching them how to cook and eat, you're not just affecting your children, but you're affecting, you know, future generations. You know what I'm saying? So you got to stay on top of that. You know, basically, I know you have a garden in the back.
Yes.
Lance. I remember you talking about you had a garden. You know, that's really, really important, you know, for anybody with land, even if you live in the city, you know what I mean? And you got a backyard with some dirt, or you got pots. You don't really even need dirt. You know, you just need some pots. You know, you can grow some things. You know what I mean?
Let me just say really quick in there, it's not even just a matter of growing your own stuff. No, yes, it is. But I just want to interject something very special about that feeling. Many times Mrs. Scurv is in the kitchen, and like I say, it's not a sexist thing while she's in the kitchen and I'm not. That's her mastery. I can't whip that. You know, we're a team, so she takes over that end of things. But it's such a great feeling when she's in the middle of a meal and they're quick, precise, and instinctive when you watch her cook. And how she prepares things and times things, and she stands right there. You got the stove there, the sink there, the fridge there, and you know, you see my little kitchen area in there on the videos. But she puts things together, and then the best feeling in the world is when she opens up the slider and walks out past the sun porch and into the yard, into the garden. It could be nighttime we're cooking, it could be early we're cooking, and she goes back there and reaches down into something. It could be a season of rosemary, it could be, you know, a lemon, or it could be any kind of, you know, anything. and she brings it back in, cleans it off, and puts it right in the pot or puts it right in the dish. And we didn't have to go and spend money, and it's the connection to the earth. See, we're getting food, but we're not connected to the earth anymore. We don't have a relationship these days with the earth as much as we should. Some have it more, some have it less. But when you, and I'm not throwing off anybody, I'm speaking of love here, y'all. Oh, I'm hungry. Let me go to McDonald's. That is artificial. That is disconnected. There is no love with that. It's like a baby drinking formula. I hate to say that. I'm throwing off on those who do or whatever. But there's nothing like the breast, that the communication from mother to child. So that communication from the creator to his children, but depending on going to the earth and having in our mind that that's our salvation on a physical level, that we got to plant stuff and we have seeds for stuff, and it's satanic and it's evil. The GMO situation where you're getting stuff with no seeds, they're robbing the life and they're robbing your ability to be connected to the mother earth. Like the child is connected to the mother through the breast, and there's some communication going on there that is not even verbal, but it's such a soul tying bonding thing. Even when they're out of the womb, that was a connection that you're connected to this breast, your mother, and you're looking up and you drink. And I'm not being lewd, y'all. I'm just making an analogy here. So we're not even looking to the earth anymore. We don't even see value in the soil. It's just dirt. Get it off of me. Who wants dirt? And so for you to have your seeds and put your fingers in the soil, the warm soil, and you see the other creatures, whether it be little lizards or ants or whatever, they are depending on that. There are minerals in that. Even to the point now when I'm driving, they're doing construction in certain areas. They're doing some construction here, building a new water park along one of my bus routes. And I see rich soil. And I look at it and almost salivate. No, I don't want to eat the soil. I know you can do that. But I say, man, it is some rich soil. If I could have that soil and get some, put some of that soil as topsoil in other areas of my yard, that would do me so good. See, but I can see that because of my increasing connection to the soil, to the dirt, from whence we came, and we'll go back. There's a connection there. Make your feet touch the soil every single day. Even if you live in an urban inner city area, to have that pot, even if it's on a fire escape, like up in New York City, and you look outside and you see a bug fly and go there and you watch and look at the soil, look at the growth, look what's happening. There's something intangible about that, but very powerful. And we as a people have been removed from that, So like Brother MADGUNS said, the Back to Africa movement doesn't mean just always physically packing up and going there and back to the motherland. It's a state of mind. You can be in it, but you can be amongst it, but not really in it. I could be around a whole crowd of people running their mouth, and I'm in my own righteous world, righteous zone, never losing the connection to the things that keep me strong. I'll shut up. Go ahead, man. I just want to make that one point.
All right. Keep making them. So yeah, basically, I mean, what you said, because remember, I did ask, you know what I mean? Again, for people that have land, for people, that have, if you don't live in it, I mean, if you have somewhere to put pots, like Lance said, I didn't even think about it, but even if you live, in a building, you got a fire escape, or, like if you live in a complex and you got a terrace, you can grow something, just grab some pots. You may not be able to grow, big things, but you can grow some, certain things, and you can also grow herbs and spices.
Yes.
And we need that. The thing is that ties in because the industrial food complex, it's more expensive to use herbs and spices than it is to use the chemicals that they make. And also the herbs and spices don't poison you.
That's right. So
basically that's why they don't use herbs and spices. That's why they throw, the MSG in there and all of the maltodextrin and everything else, because it's more cost effective to use that stuff. So you can grow rosemary and thyme and sage, coriander, and also when you cook, use turmeric.
Lots
what I'm saying? Oh my gosh.
Oh, I poured it on today.
Say again?
I poured it on today. I got to show you my little bottle of turmeric. I'll be back. Keep talking, man.
Now, two of the best things you can use turmeric, and cayenne, which is also called capsaicin. Cayenne is really good for you. Cayenne is actually a natural fat burner. So again, if you cook, for people that cook, hey, use turmeric, use cayenne, use herbs and spices, and there you go. But again, we all know the masses are going to be lost if your Tesco or your Sainsbury's or your Waitrose, well, those are British supermarkets, but for those in America, if your Publix or your Kroger or your ShopRite or your Pathmark or your Food Lion or your Walmart, if those places close down, what you going to do? There you go. That right there, that's turmeric. You know what I mean? And turmeric adds a beautiful color as well to your food. Mm-hmm. So, that's the thing. Color your food. You color your food. The food that, the outside sells you, it's colored, but it's colored with dye. You know what I'm saying? You can color your food with chili powder, yes, and with cayenne, and with different spices. I'm trying to, oh my gosh, I'm leaving out one and it's on the tip of my tongue.
It'll come.
Oh my gosh. But either way, flavor your food. But either way, if your supermarkets close down, you know what I mean? And that can lead in, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but there's something coming. Like, let's just keep it real. There's something coming. We don't know when it's coming, but there's something coming.
Yes.
And, a lot of people believe that, this country will be under martial law at some point, and it will.
Yes.
I don't know when, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that, don't be, always be wary of disinformation agents. There are a lot of, we're going to do a show on it. One day, yes, I want to do a show on the types of agents. There, yes, are a lot of types of agents. Yes. I think that there's one kind of agent. No, I have a list here of different agents. And one of the kind of agents, and you see them a lot on YouTube and Facebook, but especially YouTube, are disinfo agents. And they just talk all kind of crazy. And they love to make dates. They love to name dates. They're like false prophets, like Brian Kahn. They love dates and nothing happens. Something was supposed to happen. I don't remember what it was. Something was supposed to happen September 26th. So a lot of people saying, oh, something's going to happen to the dollar on September 26th. Well, it's the 30th now. What happened to that?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So when you see people talking craziness like that and naming dates, shut them down. Shut them down. Yeah. But either way, be careful with disinformation agents. But either way, there's something that's coming. This is why information is key right now. Right. There's something coming. Martial law is coming. FEMA is coming. Okay? And the more that you can grow and the more that you can cook for yourself is going to be better for you. So like I said, when there's no more Tesco or Sainsbury's or Waitrose or Publix, Kroger or Pathmark, you're going to have to rely on yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if you can grow some fruits and vegetables in your yard, and for the people that like watermelon, how easy it is to grow watermelon. That's why they throw seedless watermelons out here, so you can't grow watermelon.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. See, again, they trying you. Lance has been talking in the last couple of shows about seedless. You know what I mean? Now, I do like seedless grapes, but whatever. But seedless. Right. A lot of the watermelons are seedless. You know what I'm saying? You could inadvertently, I've seen somebody inadvertently spit out 2 watermelon seeds, sitting there eating watermelon. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, there's a watermelon patch growing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if you got space, you can grow your own watermelon.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, you gotta, you can grow your own fruit, and I don't have to, I don't have to extol the virtues of fruit and vegetables, but it's definitely a lost art. You know what I'm saying? So, mm-hmm. Again, like I said, try to do that. Even a small vegetable garden can go a long way. You know what I mean? So here's another thing. And again, I take men to task, it's not just the women, it's everybody. It's both sexes. If you're a man and you can bone, but you can't fish, homie, you lacking. Let's keep it real. You know what I mean? If you can bone and you can't cook, dude, let's keep it real. Something lacking. You know what I'm saying? Something lacking in your spirit. You got to get it together.
That's right.
And what was said about teaching a man to fish? You know what I mean? You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish. You know what I mean? he had that for the rest of his life and could feed his family. You know, so basically, I mean, look, we're all humans. We're born with an innate knowledge, you know what I'm saying, of knowing how to bone. You know what I mean? But not all of us are born knowing how to cook.
That's right.
Knowing how to farm.
That's right.
So let me ask you, which one do you think is more important? You know what I mean?
Right.
Knowing how to bone or knowing how to cook and eat.
That's right.
So, I mean, let's keep it real. You know what I mean? Let's just keep it real. So, you know, again, at the end of the day, you know, this is more than health and wellness. You know, I mean, if you want to know how to survive martial law, and if it's instituted in our lifetime, you know what I mean? And if it comes from a domestic or a foreign source, damn, I heard a click on my phone.
I heard it too.
Damn, I heard a click on my landline. Oh my gosh, they listening.
Uh-huh.
Soon as I said that, I heard a click. Soon as I said that, soon as I said martial law, I heard a click.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Well, you know, we haven't had any technical difficulties yet, so expect that. But you know, we'll weather that storm as always.
All right. Well, yeah. All right. Well, somebody need to go see. Somebody, let me tell my brother to go outside and see if you see a van sitting outside the house. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we'll see if you see a van sitting outside the crib.
But you know what? It might come to you in the form of a beautiful woman the next day. You never know. It could be anybody. Like, you know, and I haven't put it out there publicly all the way, and I mentioned it, but I told you what I'm going through. Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's bizarre. You know, so, you know, we have our health and wellness that we have to deal with. We have to deal with all these other situations, but there are definitely people that don't want us as a people speaking about these things. Other folks can talk about it because they're trying to preserve themselves and go to Mars and go to these space stations because they feel something's coming and leave us down here in the hell. But there won't be hell down here. There's only hell if we neglect ourselves. And if we know how to take care of ourselves, have that relationship with the land, treat each other a certain way, understand we can barter with ourselves, we can have heaven on earth right now. And like you said, these disinformation agents, as they whisper in our ear and lace entertainment with these messages of fear, we don't have to, you know, listen. You know, we don't have to deal with that. Yes, Sweet Berry, you want to hear that one, so I'm going to tell you the detail about that. But they don't want us happy. We have all of the resources from within. Once we detox off of the system, mentally, even if we're still here physically, we're walking on cloud nine, and their system is crashing. And we got our watermelon seeds, we have our land, we have our seeds and our herbs and our turmeric and all these different things in each other. All we have is, you know, all we have is each other. All we got is us and our creator. And that's all we need. That's really all we need. You know, and we've gotten away from that. And this is one step. But even health and wellness, it's interlocked with everything else. Because like I said yesterday or 2 days ago on one of my shows, I said everything goes out the window when your health is in jeopardy. Your health first. You are in this vehicle. So many of us take care of our cars more than we take care of our bodies. You know, you got a set of kidneys, you got a liver, got a heart. You got one. I mean, you got one body. But we worry about the car and, oh God, this dress, it has a stain in it. I don't know if but we stain in our bodies and poison in our bodies, all these different things. And all of the chemicals and supplements that MADGUNS is illustrating here, they're dangerous on their own. How about when they get in your body and combine? And I was telling a friend yesterday, I said, listen, toxins are saved in your body fat. And remember, when you feel that craving, when you begin to work on losing that body fat, and you lose a little bit as each day goes by until it adds up to the pounds, those toxins that are trapped in the fat get re-released into your bloodstream, and you start to feel the collective effect of it inside of your body, your brain, and we get these flu-like symptoms, and you get these cravings. It's a mental thing, y'all, but it's very much physical also when you get these cravings, because these things are released and you start craving the very things that are released in your system. I can't take it. I got to break my thing. So you got to understand what's coming in this battle. That's why water is so important, to keep flushing these toxins out as they're re-released in your system as you drop the body fat. This is
exactly,
you know, and as long as you sign off on it, and anytime I say anything, correct me when I'm wrong or off. But we have to anticipate when we do these things that we're going to not feel good, and you're going to have to be quiet. When you have these things released into your system and you're around talkative coworkers, you may very well reach for the Big Mac faster or the diet soda faster, because it's like, oh, what is in that makes you feel and it brings you back into, because your body wants to hold on to that crap because you've made it where it's normal for it. You tell a man who's been shooting heroin all his life, smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol all his life, and you take him away from it immediately, he might die, even though that stuff is not good for you. So understand, you might have to sit a certain amount of time away from everybody. If you have that week off, or if you have that weekend off, and stay home and clean out your gut, you know you're going to have to run to the toilet. You know you're not going to feel too good. You're going to feel a little whatever, but you need that time in the pit stop for yourself to make these practices take, so that you can create a new normal. For me, bodybuilding back in the day was a foundation that gave me a strength because of my mental strength, and it manifested in a certain way. So my normal is to be strong and to be fit. So even when I don't do any exercise and I go out in the back and start lifting things, it wants to go back to what it was, because that's all it knows. So if all you know is the junk food, being disconnected from the land, just reacting spiritually with all these demons floating around us, then you're going to go and crave that. So to break that momentum is going to take a monumental effort, but realize that it's not impossible. Go ahead.
That's right.
MADGUNS.
Absolutely. So, I mean, basically, you know, even again, you know, talking about cooking and knowing how to grow farm a little bit, you know, again, you know, we need to, all of us need to know how to live off the land. Now, again, here's where I'm going to take people to task. Now, again, I'm from the West Indies. A lot of people aren't. You know, if you're not from the West Indies, or you're not from, say, in the South, you know, a lot of people, let's just say, are from the city. So if you're from the city, you know, you pretty much don't know how to farm, and you definitely don't know how to raise and slaughter livestock. You know what I mean? Right. More or less, you know what I mean? If you live in New York, New Jersey, stuff like that. But here's the thing. Can we raise and slaughter livestock? Can we grow and harvest? These things, again, are going to be important. Again, where I take people to task is, open your mind. Do you think that you have to only do this by experience? No. We are now an information age. You can go on YouTube and learn a whole bunch of things. You know what I mean? I mean, dude, when you, okay, here we go. When you were talking earlier about alligator, I thought that was crazy, because I know how to and have skinned and filleted an alligator.
Wow.
Oh, again, y'all, I'm European. So when I say fillet, it's, y'all hear that's right, fillet. Right, so it's fillet. But, you know, again, I can skin and fillet an alligator. For those that are subscribe to my page, if you go in my recipes, folder, you'll see a couple of videos on how to fillet an alligator.
Right.
Can be done. You know what I mean? I also know how to fillet and clean a shark. I know how to fillet and clean a manta ray.
Wow.
Also known as a skate. Skills. Skate is actually really good. It's a very underused and undervalued fish. A lot of people, that's all another issue, but a lot of people for many years, shark and skate were considered trash fish. So if you caught that, you would throw it back. And I know people, I have a friend who catches that actually in Delaware, and, you know, they throw it back. You know what I mean? And I don't know, shark is not like a huge delicacy in the States, but in the West Indies, we eat shark. You know what I mean? Shark is like ridiculously delicious. So, I mean, I know how to, you know, I know how to clean and fillet that. Now, that stuff like alligator, shark, skate, that stuff is difficult. You got people out here that can't even scale and fillet a fish. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a simple fish. Again, you know, if everything goes down, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? So, I mean, it's simple stuff. So again, I encourage people, jump on YouTube, you know what I mean? And, you know, seek videos on how to do these things. You know what I mean? And again, I ask people, have you watched the video? Again, how many people out there, how many people have a cookbook in your house? You got a cookbook in your house? Oh, yeah. Probably not. You know what I mean? A whole lot. I mean, damn. I mean, shit. I'm ready to. Oh, did I hurt? I'm ready to freaking get rid of some of my cookbooks because I've used them so much I don't even need them no more.
Right.
You know, I've literally probably in my house, I've probably between both places I live, I probably got 20 cookbooks.
Wow. And you
absorb I have a lot of cookbooks.
But that's what's good, that you've become the source of knowledge. Like a lawyer studies the law, he can spout it off the top of his head. So when he goes to court, he doesn't have to bring all his books in. He can just refer and tell the judge, and they both know. See, so this is what we need to do, that kind of exercise, just like a young kid rapping the crap rap, not the good old school stuff, but the crap stuff. And he can rap off all this stuff. And you ask him his social security number, he doesn't know it. He doesn't know certain things that he needs to know. You have a license, you need to know and memorize the number on your license. I'm not saying become indoctrinated and subservient to the system, but, and this is something else, but along those same lines, that if you don't have your license or can't find it, they have to accept that number and they can run it and see who you are. You see what I mean? So there are things you need to focus on to be proactive in this life, but we're not doing it. And like you said, now I want to know about how to deal with a shark, or, you know, a manta ray, or, you know, different things, or gators, which I may not be down with eating a gator right now, but I might be down with eating it later on. Knowledge is not going to hurt you. We just have knowledge in the wrong areas, and areas that are not really going to help us. Can you, when you're learning something or absorbing something and taking up that space in your brain, can you use that knowledge to help you in dire straits? So when something jumps off, is this something that's going to aid you, or is it something that's going to bog you down? And there's so many of us that we're clueless even on normal things. But these survival, and this is why I have to say it, this is why there are a lot of individuals who, when a lot of American women, I'm not getting in a relationship show, whatever have you, and they see a real brother from the Caribbean who has these skills. Now, you could be an American brother who has these skills, right?
Absolutely.
But I find it that way, the fascination, because of the upbringing. Like, they'll say, wow, you can do this. And you can hear it in their mind like, yeah, I never dealt with a guy. They may not say the American guys can't do this, but it's like, wow, there's an attraction. And like you said, we can bone, but can we take care of the woman in a way where it's more, I'm not going to say more important, because we have our feelings and stuff, but boning ain't going to help you get food in your belly. Not knowing how to build a shelter is not a turn on at all when you need to do that. You got to have everything in place to be able to enjoy boning.
All right.
Sexuality in the reproductive system, when you don't utilize it, it doesn't kill you. But if your heart stops, it does. If your nervous system is jacked up, it does. So we need to know to focus on the things that will make us have more value as men and women. Mrs. Scurv has some skills that blows my mind. And she tells me things. She's a country girl from up in St. Catherine, up in the mountains. Didn't taste a Big Mac until she came to this country. Not a Big Mac, but a hamburger, because she didn't know what it was. Well, what's this thing you call hamburger? Oh, here it is. Try it out. She took a bite. She spit it out. This is nasty. Didn't know what a milkshake was. A milkshake? This is how far deep up in the country she came from. Things never touched the system, but she got mad skills. If you put her out in the woods, she told me, I know how to rub two stones together to create a fire. I believe her. That's how down and basic, not in a bad way basic, but the skills stripped away from, oh, the microwave ain't working. Oh, the gas ain't coming through the stove. Oh, there's no electricity. What are we going to do? How to go out there, catch stuff and do. We got to be on some old Rambo type stuff, because that takes away the power that this system has over us. And it's a way for us while we're here to be in the motherland. Go ahead, bro.
All right. I'm really trying. Let's stay on a positive vibe.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Somebody in the chat room is just trolling with some stupid shit.
Okay, tell me who it is. I give it him.
Marcus.
What's up, Marcus? What's going on, Marcus?
I think I keep talking about finances.
It's about health and wellness tonight.
Devalued, what's your finances going to be? So stop trolling with this finances. You're talking crazy talk, bro. We here talking about health and wellness and growing and farming and fishing. Nigga, you talking about money. You sound stupid right now. dude. You sound stupid right now. You sound silly. You sound juvenile. If you wake up in the morning, your dollar's devalued, how are you going to eat? Dummy.
Yeah, that's what we got to focus on, because it's getting real. Like I said, we got to release the hold of this system over us and to focus on that one thing that really, even now, that if the dollar has some value left, which is 13 cents what it used to be in 73, we still need our skills.
You might not be trolling. I mean, you know, but I mean, you know, the thing is, you done said that 18 times. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you know, stop trying to suck the energy out the room. You get the finances.
Right.
Dude, all right.
Yeah, we got to keep
going again. We're talking about, you know, we're talking about back in the day. We're talking about, all right. So Marcus, you black. So let's talk about Africa. The people without finances, they making it though, right? They may be subsistent, but they eating. That's what we're talking about, dude. We're talking about growing food. We're talking about farming and knowing how to fish, but you keep talking about finances, dude. We're not talking about money. Go to another channel if you want to talk about money. I don't care.
Right.
Son. So, you know, dude, easy. Look, you're right. I don't know you. Don't care to. You don't know me either. But
right,
you know,
right now,
again, you're sucking the energy.
That's what it is. We got to keep the energy.
Really, I'm not giving you that much power, but you're not really contributing, dude. So really, seriously.
Yeah. We don't need to be distracted like that. We're trying to focus on the
we
topic.
Really don't.
And folks are really getting into it, man. And
exactly.
And people are hitting me, you know, over here on this side. I'm like, wow, you know, and even after the fact. So when it's time to talk about money, we'll talk about money when it's time to talk about this. But I tell you, overwhelmingly, there are many people who, for a long time, when I touched on certain things, and when you've touched on certain things in the chat room even before, like, Lance, please do something on health and wellness, you know, from the perspective that you have and from the people that you know in your circle who can speak about that. You know, and there's a need for that. Right now, the egos or the one-man upmanship and me. We got to focus. Look, this may be the Lance Scurv show, but I shut up when it's time for a scholar, a brother like MADGUNS Forever, who has studied. And look, I did bodybuilding. I think I looked all right them 30-something years ago, right? But my ego's out of it, man. And I know a little bit. And you know I know a little bit, but I'm not on it like you, brother. So I have to submit to what you have to say.
Right.
So even I got to shut up on a show that bears my name. This is your show right now, but this is all of our platform. But when we have people who are here, who are willing to spend their time and share stuff with people who are hungry, let's focus on that and respect the speaker.
All right.
Go ahead, man.
Let me apologize. I apologize for calling dude a dummy. I might have been a little rough, but at the end of the day,
you weren't venomous when you said it.
I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I apologize, but every time I look down, you keep talking about finances. We're talking about an Africanized system. Money is a European system. So, you know, you're talking about a European system right now. You know, while we're talking about cooking, fishing, and eating. And what we're talking about is how to subsist and survive without money when your dollar has no worth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's talking about finances, not talking about, but yet not talking about precious metals, where, you know, when the dollar's devalued, you know what I'm saying? Gold and silver will still have value. You understand? Precious metals will still have value. But commodities, again, you want to talk about finances, when the dollar's devalued, the finances are going to come from goods and services. That's what I'm talking about. Take your mind back to Africa. Right. Dude, when there's no currency, what do? That's what I'm saying. People are not there. People's minds is not there. Back to Africa, your ancestors, people that may be related to you right now in Africa, what are they doing? They taking their goats, they trading with another tribe for something that they have. They trading their goats for cows. They're trading their cows for corn. They're trading their corn for herbs and spices. So once again, there you go.
Right.
There you go. But either way, so we're done. So, all right, we're done with cooking and cookbooks and farming and fishing. Let's talk about eating in America.
Let me just say before you say that even though, like we say, we're done, we'll go deeper in it according to the requests that come in the comments or any
I'm not done with that. We were just done with that section.
Oh yeah, no, that section. But like I said, the subsequent shows, we're still going to come back and forth on all of these topics and go even deeper. You know what I mean? With surgical precision. Like when something else pops up or we find on the news there's something that they discovered or that's good or bad, we're just going to keep on talking about these things. But since this is the second one, we still have to go into categories, and we're going to go back and go back over everything again, you know, micro manage and focus on those topics again and those chapters again, and go deeper and just share the information. Because in a live forum like this, not because it's me, because anybody can get a Google Hangout, but it's important that we all bring something also. We throw things out there, and if we don't know, we research and we collectively put it together. It's just like when you watch Soul Train years ago and you had a man and a woman who stood up there and put together jumbled letters, and they finally got it, you know, boom, and you got it together. So we'll bring these pieces together, and we know you've researched, so you're going to put us ahead so much, but whatever we don't know, we'll get it together. It will come out better because of it. The discussion, healthy dialogue is always is good, but focus is even better. So we got to focus on it. Go ahead, brother.
Absolutely. All right. Before I move on, I want to acknowledge my wife is in the chat room. It was her birthday. So I want to say happy birthday, and those that do know her, like, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Hope you have 50 more, 60 more. Beyond that, that might be too much. But happy birthday. And again, I hope you have many more.
Right.
And again, for those that know her or already haven't, you know, send her some good wishes through the chat room and tell her happy birthday. And on that note, it is absolutely time for a bathroom break for me. So now you have to carry this for a minute.
Oh, you know I can run my mouth. You know that. You know that.
All right.
But while he goes through the wonderful process of elimination in either way he does, which I took so long to come back, it wasn't because I'm stopped up like that. I went to the kitchen, went to check on Mrs. Scurv, and I did a perimeter check of the property. I always do that, and I got my cameras right here, so I'm looking. You always got to stay on point. But one thing I will say is that when we get angry, and what happens to us, and it's pumped at us in the news, and it gives us this feeling. Now, we always got to stay on point, but it gives us this feeling of despair, and they're shooting us down, and all this. Yes, we understand that. We understand that it even may be amplified, but also it's business as usual, and it's not anything new under the sun here in America. So why are they focusing on this so much? And yes, we need to be on point, but we need to be on point across the board. How does a boxer look going into the ring like this, in this hand down? Do you think that the opponent's going to come, you know, with a left hook to hit him here when his hand is up? No, he's going to come with a right because it's wide open. So we don't cover ourselves all the way across the board. What I mean to say is that we need to utilize our righteous anger when things happen to us and spread it over the bread like peanut butter. Spread it over our lives, not meaning walking around angry all the time, just aimlessly, but using that energy that comes negatively in a positive way. Now, we BITCHMO when one of us gets shot down. And like I said earlier, we take our money and go right to McDonald's and Burger King and KFC and Wendy's and all these different Pizza Huts and the other pizza joint. No, I can't. Domino's Pizza, whatever. And those are places where are put there to kill us off and profit from us. It's a cycle. So get mad and say, you know what? They shot our brother or sister down over in that other state or cross town. And I'm angry about that. But I'm going to use that anger and not go to the oppressors' poison food centers and do the same thing to myself on a slow burn that he's doing to me with the bullet. Right? So understand that they're killing us off on many fronts and profiting from us. And then when we go and get angry at each other because we're not eating right and we knock off one of each other, right? And they take that body in, they get the organs and they get profit from us. And we get sick from this food and go to the hospitals and pay our money, or if you have any halfway type of health insurance, which it doesn't even seem like it's really good to have any because you got to spend a whole lot of money anyway.
Right.
And they're sending you these bills. They get money from you. Go back to the motherland. Detox off the system. Use your anger righteously. Anger is a real emotion. If you don't take action with the anger you have, it becomes a venom and a poison that kills you off also. So we walking around all puffed up, but we're not doing anything about it. And we can use that energy that's there to do something about it, to change what's going on in our lives. And the thing we can change is what we put, the decision that we make of what we put in our bodies, and understanding what we're putting in our bodies. Okay, oppressor, you didn't shoot me. Your police didn't come and shoot me, but all this liquor and this wine sure tastes good. All this, these fats, these trans fats, and all aspartame, and all these weird things hitting our brain and our body. It sure tastes good. Big things of French fries and ketchup, and all this fried up this and fried up that, and they're killing us off and making profit from us. But we don't get angry at that. We bring our money to them. Oh, this is good. I don't want to cook tonight. Oh, this TV. Oh, let's go. Come on.
Right.
You're killing yourself. You're helping yourself to kill. You know, look, one more thing. When it gets cold, for those of you up north, and I know about the cold, do you blast the heat on and leave one window open or all the windows open? The heat's going to go right out. You're not effective. You're going to be effective across the board. The word I like to use in my mind is airtight. Airtight. Go ahead, MADGUNS. I gave you enough time, but I know you're back.
All right. Before I start back again, it's on my heart. I want to apologize to the brother. I may have been a little out of line. I think I just got annoyed because you said the same thing 27 times. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, I'm going to say this until somebody acknowledges me. You know what I mean? Wasn't really feeling that. But again, we move on.
Yes.
But, you know, I'm a real man, and a real man is a big man, and I'm a real big man, so I apologize. All right, let's get into eating in America, especially among Southerners. Mm-hmm. So if we have any Southerners here, hey, yo, I didn't really have I didn't have any experience with Southerners, actually, until I moved to Atlanta. And, oh, wow, that totally changed my whole knowledge base and my perspective. I learned a lot of things when I moved to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Again, I've been living in Atlanta more or less for the last 11 years. But either way, so again, this is the Eating in America section, especially among Southerners, because diet is something that we need to grab a hold of. It's very important. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very important that we pull our diets under control. Dr. Sebi, rest in peace. He's now an ancestor. So rest in peace to Dr. Sebi. Definitely, I know you're a fan of Dr. Sebi as well. And I know there's people that's probably in the chat that's definitely a fan of Dr. Sebi. Mm-hmm. Again, rest in peace to the elder who's now an ancestor.
Yes.
But he reminds me, and I was listening the other day, and he reminds that, you know, we were brought here as slaves, you know what I mean? And when we were brought here as slaves, we did not bring our food, nor did we bring our nutritional systems. So, you know, hundreds of years later, you know, after being indoctrinated into this European society and this ever-evolving industrial food complex, let's just keep it real. Black society is sick. Society is sick mentally and physically. Again, you can appreciate this, Lance, because you encounter people every single day. See, I don't, because, you know, there are times where I live a reclusive lifestyle.
Right.
And I don't really like, to be honest, I don't really like people. I don't really like people.
I'm getting that way too. I'm getting that way.
I don't like people. I don't trust people. And again, I'm going to keep it real because there's no fake, this a no fake zone. I'm not very trustful of Americans. So I kind of really do. I keep to myself. I've had a lot of bad experiences in the last few years. A lot of people are changing. You know, a lot of people are changing, and people that were like really your solid friends a few years ago, you know, you hit 2015, 2016 and they switched up, you know?
Yes.
And sometimes I think food has something to do with it, but it does in a way because it's, again, it's, you know, this bad food, this fake food and this bad, this bad dietary habits that, people have, again, it's affecting us mentally and physically. So, when I listen to you, and when you talk about your exploits, at work, on the bus, and, you see, even, oh my gosh, when you were talking the other day about the chicks that were talking about getting the weave and getting a new phone, but they lived in a ratchet house with the door hanging off. Remember you said that a couple days ago? Yeah. I mean, you already know. Not good. They're not in there eating spinach and kale and broccoli and brown rice and quinoa. You already know that. So how much of our condition as Black people and just in general, just in America, what I'm saying? Because, you have, white people as well that, don't, aren't financially solvent. They're not eating well. They have a bad diet. Right. And when you see poor people, in an impoverished neighborhood, how much of that ratchet and recidivist behavior is a result of a wildly unbalanced diet? It's serious. You know what I mean? But again, this may or may not pertain to people that are here or people that will listen tomorrow or 6 years from now or whatever. But I get to Atlanta. I'm in the South now, and I'm in Atlanta, and I'm traveling, and I'm doing things. And when I moved to Atlanta, actually, I was in show business. So, I kept it moving a little bit. So, I traveled to different places in Atlanta, and I was in Florida. All right. Well, no, it's not the time to drop that. But either way, absolutely. I found that a lot of people in Atlanta ate slave food. Like straight up ate slave food. Like, I mean, these foods have not left our system. They're not like dead foods. These foods are still alive. Yes. And I mean, not so much again when you're talking about up north, but I mean, dude, I'm in Atlanta and people are eating chitlins. If you don't know, for people that don't know what chitlin, and I got to remember that also when I'm talking here, I'm talking to my people back in the Caribbean and my people back in England who, weren't fortunate to understand the American lifestyle like myself. So I will explain things. Chitlins are basically pig intestines. You have a lot of people that eat chitlins. I know pretty girls that eat chitlins, yo. Like, seriously? Yeah. You shouldn't be eating pig at all, but I mean, you shouldn't eat pig at all, but I mean, my gosh, how do you skip over pork chops? How do you skip over bacon to eat chitlins? It's just, it's nasty animal. You're not supposed to eat the intestines of anything. Now we have we have a dish back in Europe, and especially back in the UK, that comes from the Scottish, or comes from the Gaelic culture, the Scottish and the Irish culture, called haggis. And haggis is basically pig intestines with stuff inside, potatoes and, different things inside, vegetables or whatever. And I mean, that's haggis. I mean, you say haggis to people of color, in England, and they just screw them face right up in our stuff. That food is not, I mean, it's just, oh my gosh. Basically, let's just keep it real. We say, look, leave that to the Caucasians, leave that to them. That's theirs. Right. Let them have that. But yeah, a lot of people eat chitlins. A lot of people eat hog maws. Hog maws is pig stomach. Come on, man. Really? Seriously? You got people that are eating pig's feet. First of all, it's a foot. You shouldn't be eating feet. And also, if you know anything about swine, they don't sweat. So basically, their toxins come out through their feet. And people eat that. And that's not cool. You know what I mean? So, a lot of people eat what I call partage, from pigs and cows and fowl and et cetera, et cetera. Now, it's not just Americans. I got to go in on my Caribbean people as well. You know what I mean? They eat chicken foot soup and cow foot soup and rotted, man. You're not supposed to eat that thing, man. Yo, listen, people. You ain't supposed to eat like your parents You ain't supposed to eat like your grandparents and your great-grandparents. You know what I mean? Now, here's the problem. A lot of times people might say something runs in their family, like there might be a disease or a condition like hypertension or diabetes or something like that. It runs in your family. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, are you sure it's genetic to just you? Exactly. It comes from somewhere. Why? You know what I'm saying? Now, while our grandparents didn't necessarily eat, our parents and grandparents, while they didn't eat fake foods, they, not all of them ate right. You know, a lot of them, like I said, ate a lot of hoof on foot, on rotted ding, can't eat that. Yo, you know, a lot of the things that we, you know, that our elders used to eat, let's keep it real. Love the elders, but a lot of them, they ate wrong. They ate real wrong. Chitlins is just wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. Pig feet, come on, people, let's keep it real. It's just wrong. It's wrong. Eating intestines, I mean, that's wrong. So, you know, for all my Southern, dude, you work for Silk? You getting paid on the side?
Oh, you see that, right?
Good? Let me get some. You know, the feed, you know, the video feed is a little,
it's a delay.
Slower.
Yeah, it's a delay.
It's a delay, but yeah, I mean, you know, look, slide me a couple dollars if, you know, Silk hitting you off, hit me off too.
I got you.
All right, that's what's up. I appreciate you, my brother. But yeah, it's important for us. We need to shed tradition. You know, it's important that we shed tradition. You know what I mean? So again, from people from the South or wherever, you need to leave that, you know, you need to leave that stuff alone. You know what I mean? So, you know, basically a lot of people are conscious now. You know, there's like a lot of people here in the chat, you know, are very conscious. You know, Warrior Goddess is conscious, and my wife is conscious, and a lot of people, some other people, Fallon is conscious. There's a lot of conscious people, and a lot of people are pro-African. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, if you are, you know, this discussion, this teaching, you know, it should mean a lot more, you know, it should mean a lot more to you. Right. And, you know, it's to realize that we didn't come from a system. We didn't come from an Africanized system that promoted obesity and unhealthiness.
Right.
Now, look at America. Look at the black female elder stereotype. If you look at the black female elder stereotype, some of them also happen to be big movie hits. Look at Big Mama. Mm-hmm. Remember with Martin Lawrence, big overweight, loud female. What's another famous one? Look at Medea.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing. You know, big overweight woman, and we talking about chitlins. I mean, you know, you look at those two, and you know they're eating chitlins and hog maws and feet.
Right. Vegetables didn't do that.
Saying?
Fruits and vegetables didn't do that.
Exactly. You didn't get that way from fruits and vegetables.
And to throw back on what you said about the folks who say it runs in their family, it's like the two women that got on the bus and told me, well, you know, some people, because they heard one of the shows that I did a long time ago speaking on health, and there are people back in that day, we don't want to hear that stuff. Well, go somewhere else. You know what I mean? But they said, well, Scurv, how do you speak about the fact that we're big-boned and everybody in our family is big-boned? And I said, listen, let me ask you one thing. You all live together? Well, for the most of our lives, we did. But I said, let me ask you one thing. You all live in the same city. Do you all shop together? Yeah. I said, it's not that you all are big-boned, like you said. It's the fact that y'all are eating out the same daggone refrigerator and shopping together. But there's that one family member always that leaves and goes to school and becomes enlightened and starts to do their exercise, whatever, and they come back different. And that family member gets the resentment of the big-boned ones because they pull the covers off of them. Isn't that something? That is more tradition, obesity as a tradition. And they blame it on genetics. They blame it on, yes, some people are going to be taller than others. Some people will never be the heavyweight champ in anything. They will never be a heavyweight in anything, no matter what they do, right? But the bottom line is, we have a lot of control of what we do to ourselves. And we talk about, oh, the devil is busy. The devil is a liar. Well, why you say that? Well, I went to the doctor today and they said my blood pressure was high. Could you pass the salt, please? The devil's a liar. He's doing his work, but Jesus got my back. They got the salt fried a little more. You're doing it to yourself. Ain't no devil doing the devil in you and of ignorance. Sorry about that. Go ahead, man.
No, you're good. You're good. So, again, this generation, we have to get away from the Big Mama or Medea stereotype. Or even remember, the most disgusting one. You remember Rasputia from Norbit?
Oh, I know somebody who looks just like that here in Orlando.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Tell me something. Share something.
She's evil. She's gossipy. She eats bad. She's just a bad container. She looks like, that character exemplifies every single thing that's just bad with following this system. Just gossip, venomous, evil. She used to like me when I first started, but she likes a lot of bus drivers because she's a bus driver stalker. The folks who are here, they'll know who I'm talking about. Name starts with an R. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Right? They know who it is. And she has no life. She's always up in church's chicken, always with getting some danishes to bring home or some pies or something. Nobody wants to be bothered with her. On her job, she's not liked. And she exudes likable traits on the surface to lure you in to deal with her nastiness. When you look at her lifestyle, it's a very toxic one. What she eats and what she thinks. I would love to have her on an exhibit of what not to do. And she's in poor health all the time. She's the one who, because I didn't cater to her, and she was lying and saying that me and her were dealing with each other. Really, she did on the bus, right? And when I shut her down because I used to try to treat her nice, she went and called in on my job and lied on how I drive and my practices on the bus.
Wow.
But when you are connected, and I have not in my lifetime completely been a saint, but when you're trying to do the right thing and stay connected, there was someone who heard her when she made that call while she was on her job, who's a friend of mine who overheard it and called me, and I straightened it out. So there's always a way to be made. But that particular character, that particular person, this woman here, it's like, I hate to say it, but it's almost like a waste of life. God has blessed you to live this long, and you're doing every single thing wrong in the book, and you know better. You're evil to your fellow man and sisters. You're putting bad things in your body. You get up early in the morning to sit downtown and watch what drivers doing what route, and you get on the bus and want to spread things and cause things, go on to people's weddings and sitting there and spreading lies and gambling on when they're going to break up. And there are evil people out here, y'all. Don't think when they put their facade up, and they'll come to a show like this. I'm not saying anybody here in the chat room or anybody here listening, but we're talking about health right now, right? And we agree. We can be talking about politics. Oh, yeah, we agree. Good point. So and so and so. Good comments and stuff, but they have a venom inside of them. So you don't just watch the side that they show you. You watch their total walk as much as you can, right? And I'm sorry to go off on that tangent, but when you see somebody eating bad consistently, it ain't all good, y'all, because they cannot feel good. They cannot feel centered to execute good things. So when you're thinking good and when you want to ascend to a higher level, it's got to show in how you treat yourself. Because if you treat yourself bad like that, it's just a matter of time before you treat me bad. Because if you show yourself no love, check it out. The love you have for me, you claim you have for me, can only go but so far.
That's right.
So truth wakes you up and makes you want to do what's right. It may not work at first, but after a while, you keep getting hit with it's like, the decadence, whether it's home where you cook, what you eat, doesn't taste as good. And what you've shared with me, raspberry natural flavors, I could never do it again, brother. Please, just before you move on, take 90 seconds and tell people about that ingredient and about where it comes from and the raspberry flavored types. Oh, man, that needs to be repeated over like 10 times.
All right. That's right. Somebody in the chat room reminded me that I left something out when I was talking about all that stuff. Liver. That's something that, a lot of cultures push, and especially in America, liver.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what is liver? Lance, what is a liver?
Oh, it's a filter.
Basically, just one word, a filter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what liver is. So, I mean, why in the hell would you want to eat a filter? I've never seen somebody, you know, smoke a cigarette and then like lick the filter when they were done. You know what I'm saying? That's how when I give my presentations, I say that. People face them cringe, you know. But, you know, I ain't never seen them, you know, suck the filter.
Right.
Or when you have a house or an apartment, you got an HVAC system. You change the filter. You swap the filter out once or twice a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why do you do that? To keep everything running efficiently. When you finish with the filter, it goes in the trash. You don't recycle it. You don't, you know, it has no other use after that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So don't eat liver. It's a filter. So, you know, if your family, and again, this is, you know, for people here, again, like I said, we all have family. You know, this is not just necessarily for us, but this is for people we know, our loved ones, our mein Liebchens, which is German, you know what I mean? Our aunts and uncles, our cousins, our parents, you know, our significant others, you know what I mean? We definitely, you know, we definitely have to be careful. But, you know, and even finishing up the Big Mama aspect, I got to say that none of my grandmothers became obese. You know, none of my grandmothers were obese. You know what I mean? They basically, you know, they basically stayed in decent shape until death.
Right.
So, you know, look, if we're Africans or if we're Indians, if we're Caribs, if we're Amerindians, you know, again, let's live, think, and eat better. Right. You know what I'm saying? And we need to think a little bit more holistically than, you know, in a supermarket kind of, you know, processed food, fake food vein. You know what I mean? So basically, you know, people, you need to eat your fruits and vegetables. Dr. Sebi, he did have a problem with a couple of vegetables. I remember Dr. Sebi, he did have a problem with broccoli. He had a problem with carrots. I think, I'm not 100% sure why. In the chat knows, that's great. I do know he had a problem that some of these crops were GMO crops.
Right.
Again, that has nothing to do with when you find decent farmers, you know what I'm saying? Or when you find an organic source that you trust.
Yes.
You know, just because they slap organic on something and charge you $4 extra more, or they sell it in Whole Foods, don't trust it. You know what I mean? Do your research. You know what I'm saying? But either way, you know, I mean, you know, I hear you, Dr. Sebi, and just because somebody has, you know, is knowledgeable doesn't necessarily mean you're right on everything. Doesn't mean you're right on 101% of everything you say. I love Dr. Sebi, rest in peace, but I would tell Dr. Sebi that I will die eating carrots and broccoli before I die eating chitlins and hog maws and haggis. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I get it. You know what I mean? I get it, you know, and he's right in a way, if, you know, when he's talking about GMO, you know, GMO crops and stuff like that. We all know that the soy, we already know the soy is GMO, and we know that the corn is GMO. So that's why we got to be careful with soy and corn products. And I did talk about soy in the first one. For people who don't remember, weren't available for the first one, be careful with corn products and be careful with soy. You really shouldn't do soy anyway. Not only is the soy GMO, but too much soy. If you're a man, you really shouldn't eat soy anyway because it feminizes you.
Yes.
So you shouldn't eat soy, and you should make sure that you do not give your kids soy. Your male children, don't give your male children soy, and you shouldn't give your female children soy. And I guess while I'm out there as well, don't for anybody out there that drinks milk, don't drink milk. Don't give your kids milk. America has had a campaign for many, many decades now that milk does a body good. It does not. Milk is not good for you. For people that do your research, you know that not only most milk, now they're trying to come out with milks that have no hormones. And basically the stuff, the hormones in milk is basically RBGH, and I think it's RBST. You got to be careful with those. But in general, milk, whole milk milk is not what you think it is. See, commercial milk, number one, we shouldn't be, I don't want to go off on a tangent about milk. We covered it already, but real quick, we shouldn't drink milk. Again, we're the only mammal that drinks the milk of another mammal. No other mammal does that. You know what I mean? Dolphins don't drink the milk of sharks, and, you know, cows don't drink the milks of koala bears, and no mammals drink the milk of another mammal, just human beings. So we should stop that. Second of all, milk is, to me, milk makes you fat. About what is milk? The origin of milk is to grow a baby calf as fast as possible.
Yes,
that's what milk is. That's why, you know, when you see mammals, their milk makes their offspring grow very fast. So it's, you know, we're not supposed to drink that. You know what I mean? And there's a huge difference between commercial milk and farm milk. You know, if you're sitting there, I mean, I'll say this: if you're on a farm and you're drinking cow's milk, I'm not 100% mad at that, even though you shouldn't drink cow's milk, but at least, you know, you got cows and they're grazing. That's what's up. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, you're milking, you're pulling the udders. That's what's up. But you're drinking this pasteurized milk. For people that don't understand the industry, all that milk in the store, that milk isn't farmed milk. They're not sitting there. You think 3,000 Mexicans are sitting there pulling cow udders? No, stop. Let's come on. Let's be more serious. Realistically, the cows are hooked up to machines.
Right.
So the machines are what pulls out the milk. The machines, now for any women out there that have children, you know good and well when your breasts don't have any more milk, or basically when a child is satiated and doesn't want any more milk. The problem is the machines don't know that. So when the machines are milking the cows, it don't stop. So when there's no more milk, guess what comes out? A little bit of blood. Yes. So basically, you know, when you're drinking commercial milk, you're drinking hormones. The hormones make the cows sick, so they give the cows antibiotics. So you're drinking antibiotics. You're drinking blood. You're drinking pus, because like I said, that stuff, you know, the antibiotics and the hormones make the cows sick. So you're drinking pus. So you're drinking pus, blood, hormones, and you're getting a little milk mixed in with that. So have fun with that. You know what I'm saying? You know, if we're talking 20, 30 years ago, I get it. But, you know, we're talking 2016.
There's no excuse.
No one needs cow's milk, you know, and you can make your own milk, you know what I mean, as well. You know what I mean? Like you saw Lance drinking some almond milk of the brand I won't mention till I get cut something. But you saw Lance drinking some almond milk. You know what I'm saying? You can make your own almond milk. You soak some almonds in some water. Oh, my God, how easy is that?
Right.
So you can make your own milk. And you can make milk for me. You can make cashew milk. You can make, again, okay, dude, seriously? With the show? Really?
You see me, right?
Oh, you know what? I thought it was almond milk. I didn't even realize. It's cashew milk.
It is cashew.
There you go.
But I make sure to get the one with 0 sugar. They have it, like you see here, they say 25 calories per serving. They have other ones that are 80 calories and this and that. I stay away from sugar when it's added into something. So like up top here, zero grams of sugar, you know, per serving. And even though there will be trace amounts of certain things and certain, but I try to keep away from that, because they will take something that is good, on sugar to it, or other things that you're like, yo, well, I'm drinking almond milk, I'm drinking cashew milk, but it's a ton of sugar in there.
Exactly.
You know, we want to retrain our taste buds so they don't prostitute us into just, you know, fooling ourselves. Eating organic cake. You go to Whole Foods and get a little piece of expensive organic natural cake, and what's in there will flood you with calories just the same. You know? And most of the things I would say in a Whole Foods, the way they put it together, you better watch that stuff. That's suspect. You're better off at your farmer's market and listening to programs like this and brothers like Mad Guns Forever, so that you can get the knowledge, read the books, and arm yourself to know, let me look at this thing. 10 parts great stuff and 1 thing poison. I picked up some seaweed the other day from the Asian store. It's a huge Asian supermarket that has products in it. And so, you know, like you said, brother, there are things that they won't use there, but they'll use here, right? And I picked up a big thing of seaweed. And I'm looking at the seaweed when I can. I just snatched it up and brought it. Oh, it's just seaweed. Looked in there. There's a chemical in the process. I don't think we had. I think Mrs. Scurv threw it away. but I'm going to find another one, take a picture of it, and put it up on social media so we can talk about it. And they basically said that there is a chemical that is, like you said, that is banned over there, right? That I guess when they make it over there, that it's okay. Not okay, but it's banned over there, but it's okay to export it. And we have it, and they say that this chemical basically causes death. Wasn't even like makes your eyes blurry, you know, or your testicles clap, or your clit jump up and down, or whatever have you. You know what I mean? No, it's just, but they didn't say why. It's like, what the heck? For seaweed? So now I got to watch it. But now I really want to get into the dehydration of food, different things we can use to make our own snacks to dehydrate fruit and pack it airtight and carry it with us when we travel. Put things in your trunk when you drive. Get a little bag and have some really great snacks, because you know when you go out into the world, you're not going to have things available to you made to order. You might find yourself at Burger King, McDonald's, so and so. I'm hungry. Look at this. There's nothing. Don't put yourself in that position. Carry stuff with you. If you know you're going to travel for the day, look, when me and Mr. Scurv do our little gas tank trips, right? And we know ahead of time, like, okay, this particular restaurant where we're going to eat, it's a vegan spot, not just there, but the reviews are good. It seems to be clean or recommended. Most of the time, if we go out for 2 days on the weekend, one of those days we have stuff as we're traveling, home cooked stuff in our containers. And we'll eat that bad boy and don't touch nothing anywhere else. And bring fruits and vegetables, different things you can have and prepare in your hotel room. But the fruits, nuts, when you're traveling, that's a wonderful time to go raw in your diet. Drink your water, get your fresh juice if you need juice, have your fruits, have your vegetable snacks that you can dehydrate. It's fun, and you're not spending any more extra money.
Exactly.
I remember making a trip to Atlanta a couple years ago. Me and my wife went up there, and we didn't know the area as well. And, you know, we were heading back to go sleep. So I said, let's just eat what we have here. Not junk now. But we went to a seafood joint. And for the little piece of fish that we both had and everything, little bit, we were like, this is kind of, man, it was like about $120 that we spent. Come on, man, $120. But we were hungry. There wasn't much open. It was in the wee hours, and they were open. It was good food, but it was just too little. Come on, $120. And they looking at me for the tip. Oh, God, dog. Never again. Bring your fruits, y'all. Save your money. Nuts, fruits, dried stuff. Make your stuff at home. Your food laboratory. Where you control everything that goes in there. You control what goes in your body. And notice, I'm going to say it this way. Sorry to get nasty, y'all. Y'all take a long road trip and don't bring your own food and eat the stuff at those rest stops. Eat the fast food, even halfway good food. It's different food. You're traveling, if you go from north to south, south to north, through different climates, different altitudes. After 3 or 4 days, different. Like, dang, why my stuff is so constipated? Can't come out. It's hard. Not to be nasty, but it's true when you're on your regular path. So keep your home with you. The protection of home when you're out and about by bringing your own food. Don't put yourself at the mercy of a nasty chef. I was speaking to a passenger who I'm trying to bring on very soon. Hopefully I can bring him on here because he's what's the seminary or school for theology? Or one of them. He's deep in that, right? I hate to say it, but he's in poor shape. Caucasian brother, poor shape, but he admits that he knows it. But he's also a master chef. And he was telling me about the nastiness in the restaurants, y'all. And he was saying, you know, certain practices, certain things that he notices that other people don't notice. That you know, a chef, the only way he's supposed to wipe his face when he's sweating is by doing like this, right? Or he has something around his neck specifically for that, some kind of kerchief or something around his neck, but never something he carries in his hand. Never something he wipes the counters down and wipes his face with, and he's touching that, and he's touching your food. He notices when certain other chefs, when he goes to restaurants, very seldom, they may have gloves on their hands and say, oh, I'm going to go to the restroom real quick. And they come out with the same gloves. So you mean you wiped up and didn't take the gloves off? You went in there with one pair? You didn't take them off and put them on? You got to watch them. Because later on, 3 days later, you could be shaken up, feeling hot or cold with sweats, with food poisoning. I had that happen to me. That's not a good feeling. So be careful. One more thing, be careful. You're eating from strangers when you eat out. When you bring your own stuff, you protect yourself on a spiritual level. When you're eating from strangers, you don't know if they're angry, confused, have some kind of vendetta, and something translates into that food when they cook it for you. They can be mad at the boss, and you eat this food, and don't say it's superstition. For me, I can't prove it, but I know that I know that I know. Don't eat around people who don't like you. Don't be careful who's eating near you when you eat in public. This is an intimate act. I mean, you're more intimate when it's coming out. I'd rather do that around other people because it's already a wrap. I digested already. But putting it in, that's just as intimate. And so when you're putting it in, there's other things coming in with it. How are you going to eat around people who have these odd spirits? So when we talk about health and wellness, we have to touch on that because, again, it interlocks and is interchangeable. One thing affects the other. But in a Eurocentric mindset, we always think that, well, my arm is hurting, so it's just my arm. I have a headache, so let me take a pill to quell the symptoms of the headache. What's the problem? It's all interrelated.
Yes.
Afrocentric health. Back from the motherland, we treat every part of you mentally, physically, and spiritually, because if something's wrong with you physically, there's a mental offset, right? And there's a spiritual something offset, something not, I'm not going to say wrong, but something off. Because if you affect one part, the other parts get affected. So if you notice when you feel well and really healthy and really good, it's easier to be in good spirits. When you're constipated like that woman who stalks bus drivers whose name starts with R, she got to be evil because she got to be constipated. You see how she walking and holding herself? It's a spiritual thing, it's a physical thing, and it's all interrelated. But this Eurocentric way of looking at medicine, where they don't have the skills or ability to look at overall, they call it holistic, but for us, we use it as a reference point. But this is what we do. This is what we are. It's already there by default. We don't have to say holistic when we speak African, right? But it's not something that comes from the Western mindset. Take this for this, and then something else. This is why every time they tell you, and I'll end my little rant on this. You know when you see these commercials, and they have these beautiful commercials. You're riding a bike, and it's all of the greenery behind you, and everybody's laughing and smiling, and it's a drug commercial, a very specific for a very specific ailment. And you're looking at this commercial like, man, this is a healthy looking man. I want to be in that commercial. It's so happy. I mean, it's just like everybody's all super Prozac up, but they're speaking about a drug to treat something, and at the end of it, they tell you all the side effects, which are worse than the problem that it's trying to deal with. Even death. Right. But then when you take something from the ground, that contain all the known and unknown minerals, prepared by loving hands, whether it's yours or your significant other or someone in your inner circle that you can trust, you can eat as much of these strong, powerful herbs, and there are no side effects. Yes, there are certain things like golden seal you must take in moderation, depending on who you are and your level of cleanliness, being clean. You know, if you're really messed up and you take a lot of that, you're really going to be messed up. But for the most part, I would say 90-something% of what's out there that we can consume doesn't have any side effects, and it's proactive. It stops something from happening down the line. You might be whipping something that's about to get up on you. Keep yourself clean and keep the good stuff that's meant for us. Sorry I took too long, brother. Go ahead. I had to get that one out. Go ahead, Mad Guns. Uh-oh. Did we knock off or did he mute? I think he's still here. We went a long way without having any technical difficulties. He's still here, but we're getting down too deep. And let me check the chat room and see if he and I've been off the chat room for the longest, y'all. Okay, let me see. Mad Guns, you're still with me. If you can hear me, Mad Guns, I have you connected. Everything's working fine on this end. But let me call you back. I'm going to hang up on you right now, MADGUNS, if you can hear me. And I don't know if I'm cut off where I can't hear you and everybody else can hear you. Let me know. But I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna call you back on your landline. I'm gonna do it right now. That worked the last time, so let me see. We'll do this again. Add them right back on in. Okay, here we go. It's always something, y'all. Now, we were talking some ratchet stuff, right? Okay, let's wait for him to pick up. Okay, here we go.
I wasn't there for a minute. You got me?
Yes. You know, that always happens.
Yeah.
We're talking that good
stuff. Yeah, you wasn't there for a second, so.
Yes. No problem. You back on. I'm
all right. So
dropping on
there was something. Yeah, there was something that you were saying that was real. And again, for anybody that may be from my culture, anybody from the West Indian culture, the Carib culture, we generally, one of the first things that my mother taught me was that you don't eat from everybody. You know what I'm saying? We don't eat from everybody. So it's exactly what you said. You know what I mean? And there is somebody in the chat room, I think her name is Yvette 8000 or something like that. And yes, she said something too that, you know, along those lines, you know, for people that understand about the spirit world. Mm-hmm. And it's like you said, you know, some people do transfer their, their issues into the food. So you definitely, you know, you don't want to eat from everybody. And that's something my mother told me. You just, you know, you don't eat from everybody. You know, I don't care how good a friend you don't eat from everybody. Mm-hmm. So you definitely, you know, you definitely need to be careful. You know what I mean? You definitely need to be careful. But absolutely. And moving on, all in all, we need to eat minimally processed foods, live foods, raw foods, and importantly, foods from the color spectrum. Yes. You know what I'm saying? That's important. So we need to eat, you know, just like Miss Scurv made famous the eggplant. You know, eggplant is what? Purple. So we need to eat eggplant. We need to eat all the peppers, green pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We need to eat the green foods. We need to eat cabbage. We need to eat different foods from the color spectrum. That's, you know, when you see foods from the color spectrum, that is basically, you know, what's going to keep us going. And what's important too, people, is that we need to, for the people that don't know, you know, you need to start learning the sources of the macronutrients, which are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. You know, people need to learn as well, because, you know, you got a lot of people out there that don't understand about carbs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And people need to learn carbs. Now, there's two different sets of carbs. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that. The carbs that you take in from vegetables and fruits are totally different from the carbs that you receive from white breads and pastas and things like that.
Those don't count.
Exactly. Those are hollow, false carbs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's all good if you want to burst the energy. Like a lot of people, they carbo load before, you know, they do a competition. Everyday basis, you're not trying to carbo load. You know what I'm saying?
Let me just interject on that really quick, under 1 minute. When you're depleted or of carbohydrates before competition, your body is hungry to soak those up. You did your training that last week and you stop a day or two, 3 days, 2 days, it depends on the person, before that competition, and you rest. Lots of guys don't drink as much. Their muscles look flat the day before. Right. They look flat. They look skinny. They look like, man, you're going to the competition, you look terrible. And then you have different ways of carbo loading, and some guys don't get into the healthy thing because bodybuilding is not necessarily about health that you see on a professional level. It's just about getting that look, right? So even as a natural bodybuilder, I've fallen into the trap of doing unnatural things, not steroids, but just manipulating the body a certain way to get a temporary look peaked out for that competition. So there was one thing that I did, several things that I did as a teenager and experimented with, but I came up with my own cocktail of when you deplete yourself somewhat of carbohydrates, you still got to put them in. Your brain has to work, your heart has to work, you still have to take it in. But from all the training, and you time loading the carbohydrates. So when you get to that prejudging in the evening show, when you start to pump up, your muscles swell, they fill out, you get more vascular. Your skin is thin, like tissue paper.
Right.
Right. So the cocktail that I used, which is unhealthy, was a Cadbury candy bar, blackberry brandy, niacin, not the non-flushing niacin, but the kind that flushes you.
Right.
And there was another thing that I did in that, but the blackberry brandy, the Cadbury straight chocolate, and the niacin, that sugar from that blackberry brandy, which I'm not in the alcohol, but the sugar and the alcohol, the candy bar, it sucked into a hungry body. If you notice when you're real lean and you eat something that's high carbohydrate, your vascularity pops out a little more. Your muscles fill out a little more, but you got to time it. And since those were simple sugars, I had begun to carb up a little more with certain foods that were concentrated, but right before, maybe 15 minutes before, because like you said, those things rush your system. You pop that, the niacin gave you that flush. And I almost passed out on stage from that a couple times too. When you get out there, everything looks like it's going to explode. And it's scary, but that non-flush niacin, because I don't know what they do to it now to make it a non-flush formula, but you take 50 milligram tablets. I think I took like 7 or 8 of them, which was too much. And I flushed too much. And I was dizzy. My heart was racing. Oh, the other thing, 1,000 milligrams of caffeine in a pill form with niacin, blackberry brandy, and the chocolate bar. And you're zooted. And the veins are on your neck, popping out, down your arm. At one point, I had looked at the vascularity because I was very lean. I looked at veins and traced them, like I-95 coming from the north to the south. You know what I mean? But yeah, practices, man, little things you do. The carbo loading, we don't notice it as much when we have the fat on us and we're in an untrained state. But your body is truly affected by the things that you do to it immediately and long term. And it's more evident when you're a fine-tuned physical machine, like when you do bodybuilding. I'll shut up on that. That was too long. But anyway, go ahead, man.
No, it wasn't. But anyway, yes, you know, like I said, the last thing I said was that the carbs that you intake from fruits and vegetables are different from the ones that you get from white breads, pastas, and other sources. And there is a correlation between refined carbohydrates and belly fat. You know what I mean? So, you know, when it comes to carbs, you know, the source of the carbs is actually more important than the amount of the carbs. So, you know, it's kind of a little bit like we were saying, if you don't satisfy your body's nutritional needs, you'll still be hungry after you eat.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And if you're hungry after you just ate, that means, you know, your carbs weren't, you know what I mean? So, you know, your carb, the source of your carbs, you know what I mean? So again, people learn about carbohydrates. For those that don't know or heard of them and don't know what they are, they're basically organic compounds, which include sugar, starches, and cellulose, you know what I mean? And they contain oxygen and hydrogen, and they break down. And that's what gives us our energy. And carbs are very important. You know, we just have to, we have to source the carbs properly. You know what I mean?
Time it also. The timing.
Absolutely. You don't want to, you don't want to do carbs before bed.
No. Do them early.
And that's what's going to put weight on you.
Yeah. When you have the whole day ahead of you.
Carbs early.
Yes.
There was something I learned. Everybody doesn't have to subscribe to it, but it's something I learned a long time ago. Basically, you eat in the morning like a king. You eat in the afternoon like a prince, and you eat at night like a pauper.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
You know, you're supposed to ratchet it down a little bit, you know, as you go throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, you know, and a lot of people, you know, and for people that chief, you know, I do talk about that in my book too. I keep it real. I talk about, you know, people who chief. Be careful, because if you chief, you know, you get hungry. You know, and a lot of times, you know, you're not necessarily chiefing at 9 a.m. You're chiefing at 9 p.m., you know, 1 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to snack before bed. You don't want to do too much before bed. And a lot of times, you know, if you chief, that kind of makes you want to eat bad things. You know what I mean? So you got to definitely be careful. You know, you got to be careful, you know, with that before you go to sleep. So be careful, you know, just be careful if you chief. Chief all you want, but just be careful of your diet. But people are going to trip that there's a chapter in my book that, you know, literally covers how to eat if you, you know, if you smoke. So There you go. So let's get off of carbs. I'm done with carbs. But and moving on, for those who eat meat or fish, it's advisable to eat vegan a few days a week. Now, what I've noticed in this society is that if you eat meat or fish, you kind of eat it every day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to. Who says that you have to eat meat or fish every day? Matter of fact, one of my pastors came out with a sermon today called "Who Told You That?" You know what I'm saying? So who told you that? Who told you that you could eat or should eat meat and fish every day? You actually don't have to. So I advise you, as hard as it is, you know what I'm saying, since you're not a vegan, but I advise you, and Lance will co-sign because, you know, he's a pescatarian as well, but he doesn't eat fish every day. I advise you, we advise you to eat fish. We advise you to eat vegan a few days a week. A few could be a couple. It could be 2. If you could do it, it could be more. You know what I mean?
Right.
As much as you want. You know, if you want to, you know, if you want to go meat, if you want to go vegan 4 or 5 days, hey, go for it. That's even better.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's even better. So, you know, you definitely want to give your, the reason is too, you want to give your digestive system a break. And you want to allow your body to absorb protein from other sources when you substitute. Like I eat a lot of beans and lentils and legumes, you know what I'm saying? Well, beans and legumes, but I eat a lot of beans and legumes. I eat a lot of lentils. Lentils are like I kill lentils. I make a mean lentil. You know, and you get a lot of protein from legumes and lentils, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you could literally do a nice big side of vegetables. You could do some brown rice or some quinoa, you know what I'm saying? And you could do a nice helping of pinto beans or lima beans or whatever bean you like,
so much
or
variety.
lentils, and you straight.
Yeah.
You don't realize, you know, mentally, you might be thinking that you're missing something, but you're really not.
It's brainwashing.
You're really not missing anything. You know what I'm saying? And you'll be amazed on how you'll feel full, not sick full, you know, not Murder King full, but, you know, you'll feel satiated. You know what I'm saying? You'll definitely feel satiated. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm bougie. I eat quinoa, warrior goddess. Yes, I do. And, you know, there's my wife again with her mouth. Actually, that's a misnomer. That's something else. Matter of fact, I need to make sure that I put that in my book. A lot of people believe that if you eat beans, that makes you pass gas. That's not necessarily true. I eat beans every day, and I actually don't pass gas from beans. A lot of people do not get that. You know what I'm saying? You know, beans don't make you pass gas necessarily. You know what I'm saying? The gas might be from something else you eat,
combining with
beans on top of that,
or a faulty digestive system that is so used to the gook, and it's not the beans, but it's the other stuff reacting with the beans. Because when you're in that higher state, working, and all your systems are working at an optimum level, trust me, it doesn't bother you. Now, you know, I want to throw this in also. We got to look at our guts like a 1-lane highway, right? A 1-lane highway. So are you going to put that slow pickup truck that is pulling all the stuff that's moving 5 miles an hour first? See, we combine too much because of this food pyramid business from back in the day, where meat always had to be in there, and fish and meat has to be in there, and that's at the top. Protein. That was a big myth. And so we eat these heavy meats and fried up meats and pork and all this other stuff we're not supposed to eat. And we have that, and we eat other stuff that passes through us faster, but it has to drive slow behind this thing that's taking up digestion and the juices and the enzymes. And remember, you only have so much energy to digest the food that you put in. So why are you putting all this heavy stuff and combining it with everything else when it takes special enzymes, digestive juices to digest the meat, if you do eat it, to digest the fish, different stuff to digest the vegetables, different enzymes to digest the fruits, which the fruits don't take as much because it's less to digest and break down, right? So when you have all of these enzymes coming out at the same time as when you eat a Big Mac, the bad starches, the bad meat, the bad this, the cheese, and all this stuff, you don't really digest it all the way. But if we think about nature and how our digestive systems are, they're so long. It's not short like an animal that's supposed to eat meat that has a teeth for that. And a short digestive system, it's long. If we're out in nature and we're picking berries and digging stuff out the ground, lots of times we're basically eating one thing at a time. It's not on a plate with the starch and the meat and the fats and this and whatever we want to throw on there. We ran into some raspberries. Let's chill out here and eat some of those. Oh, we ran into this. Let's chill out and eat some of those. And our body can work and focus on the one thing and digest it. Try eating like that. And again, don't think on a 24-hour level like, well, I didn't have any fish today, but I'm going to have fish tomorrow because I didn't have. If you go by your feel, stop looking at the external clock. Look within. How do I feel? And that's what bodybuilding was for me back in the day. And that's what me easing back into it will be the same way. How do I feel? How does my gut feel? Do I really want to eat this, or am I stuffing the food down because I'm used to doing this the same time every day? Let's try something different. Let's go meatless or fishless today. Wow, that felt good. I feel a little weak. I was out in the yard working. I ate light today. I ate raw. But instead of me forcing the food down, let me go lay down. Let me rest a little more. Digestion takes energy. And you put this heavy food down, it's robbing blood from your brain. So if you're in school trying to study, you can't study right because you got the itis trying to hit you, what they call niggeritis, sorry to say it. And you want to just lay down and just cut yourself from the outside world. When you eat good, clean food, light, and listen to your body, you eat is fueling up. You're ready to go. Cars don't catch itis. When you got a long trip, you fuel up. When you got a long day, you carb up and eat your good stuff. Like you said, eat like a king in the morning or whenever you wake up, whenever your morning is. So there's a lot of strategies we need to do instead of saying, I'm hungry. And we don't choose. In the hoods, when you say you're hungry and you're going out to eat, it's either Chinese, hamburgers, pizza, what else? Very few things. But then we tell you about the different beans that you can have, the different fruits that you can have, the different vegetables that you can have. Oh, I don't need no beans. You know how many beans are out there and how many different ways there are to prepare it?
Exactly.
Go ahead with that. Tell us.
Exactly. And you know, again, and even just to continue on beans, you know, for the people that, I mean, again, we're all different,
right? But
if you soak it, first of all, if you should, I don't see why you can't. You should soak your beans every night, before you cook them.
Right.
So soak them for 12 to 28 hours. And that's going to cut down on it. And if you're cooking your beans and they get foamy, what you're supposed to do is scoop out any of the foam.
Yes.
And that, that definitely cuts down on the compound that may give you gas. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But, even to stay on to that, even like I said earlier, I advise doing meal replacement shakes, every now and again as well, to give your body a break from the heavier foods, and like I said, the body absorbs protein and vitamins faster in liquid form. But again, make sure that your meal replacement powder, this is very important, or your protein powder, make sure, well, especially the meal replacement, make sure it contains vegetables. Because the fiber in the vegetables and the salad, like if you're eating, say you're eating regular food, the fiber in the vegetables in your salad coats your digestive tract, and it protects it, and it slows down the passage of the meal through your digestive tract.
Right.
That allows for increased absorption as well, and it keeps you satiated, which means it's keeping you fuller for an increased amount of time. So what a lot of people don't understand as well is a lot of our overall health runs through our guts. So if your digestive system isn't working properly, you're not going to function at maximum efficiency. So when you see people with boilers, that's an indication of poor gut health and poor eating habits. So, you gotta, once again, your gut health is very important. And if you can, supplement with acidophilus, which is, or another probiotic. Probiotics are big right now. So, you supplement with probiotics if you can for your gut health. But in general, even touching back on something else and finishing this up, you know, if you have land, for people that have land, I think Fallon, I think if I remember correctly, she lives in Colorado. I think she got land. There's a couple other people that listen to your show. I remember them talking about they have land and farm and stuff. Learn permaculture. You know what I mean? Learn permaculture. Permaculture is more than and deeper than just farming. You know what I mean? It's an agricultural system, and it's a social design principle which is centered on stimulating and utilizing the patterns and features observed in natural ecosystems. So permaculture is more than gardening. You know what I'm saying? That's dealing with water and aquifers, you know what I mean? And making sure that your land is hydrated. It's definitely a big thing. So I wanted to just get that term out there because a lot of people haven't heard that term, permaculture. So again, if you have land, you know, buy books, go online and learn about permaculture. But, you know, in wrapping up this segment, you know, there's another important thing that I want to touch on, and this is for my sisters. There has been a rise. This is something I studied a little bit, and I happen to know quite a few women, especially women of color. Because of the fake food and all the insidious ingredients in food, there has been a rise in uterine fibroids. And also, when they talk about boilers, a lot of times when you see these women with boilers, a lot of times these women have fibroids. And the thing is, which is funny is, fibroids used to be, back in the day, fibroids used to be for older women. You know what I'm saying? They used to be for much older women. Now you got women in their 20s who are getting fibroids, which is crazy, which again proves to you that there's something that's not right. Because, you know, back in the day when I was growing up, I didn't know any 20-somethings that had fibroids. Now you have 20-somethings that have fibroids. And I'm quite sure on your, you know, in your travails and your travels and your job, you know, some of these women that you see on the bus, these young girls with boilers, they got fibroids.
Yeah, and I hear them. They're on the phone talking about, you know, just coming from the doctor's office, or I hear them. I mean, they speak loud enough, and it's one big sound stage, and all the noise comes to the front. And all day long, and this is what keeps me motivated to try to, you know, live my life straight, that all day long I'm seeing how, and they don't see it, but I see it collectively. Like every day I hear some bad news health-wise, or I see it. Just the symptoms, the bad skin, that dark patch on the side of the face, which when I got extra heavy, and you could see it in some of my videos when I'm really heavy, I had that. It disappeared when I cleaned up, and it wasn't immediate. The bad breath. There's some people, and I'm not even being funny. There's some people. There was a dude who didn't even get on the bus yet, and he ran for the bus, and he just stood there for a second. The doors were open. He went like this.
Oh my gosh!
And wouldn't you believe that there are 3 people, and I won't call their names, that they have won my award for having the worst possible breath. And you just scrunch your, and it comes from the gut. The system is not right. They could be dehydrated. They could be putrefied. There is putrefied stuff in their gut, and it comes out in the skin and in the breath. It comes out in everything. And I see this every day, and I see how these people eat. I see how they carry themselves. I have literally watched this one particular woman who is my same age. A decade ago, her hair was black. Not dark brown, naturally. And I know the difference from dyed hair, real hair. Old girlfriend of mine, hairdresser. I know the looks, right? And her hair is white now. And she's walking with a walker. And I remember one time, she's so gone in the eating, and this is not a lie. About 8 years ago, she sat down in the front of the bus. It was an old bus where the seat was way up in the front. She wasn't walking with the walker yet, but she was on her way because she had to hold on and take her time and kind of swing each leg up. And she's not extremely obese. And it's also, people, you can be skinny and be jacked up in your health. It doesn't mean that it's just a weight thing. And she sat down in the front of the bus, and she saw me snacking on some fruits. And I wasn't there yet as far as the level of focus in the diet, but I was above average, way above average. And she looked at me, and of course, you know, I'm in the South, so she's from the South. You always eating like that. You eating like white people. Why you always eating like white people? You know, ain't nothing wrong with a little piece of pork every now and then. I mean, I eat pork every single day. In my mind, I'm like, it shows. You're like, you know,
Yeah.
and it ain't nothing wrong with eating pork. It got me healthy all these years. Mucus. Sneezing. Don't even have a cold, you sneezing. Your body's trying to get this mucus off, man. And you putting all this mucus. Mucus is the basis for the disease to thrive. No mucus, chances are there's no disease. And we're eating this mucus forming food and defending it. And I watch her. Now she's got a walker and she can't even walk up the steps. I got to put the lift down for her. And she's leaning more and more on the walker. And her face is swollen. Like, and I'm not being funny. Like the bodies they found, Hurricane Katrina, the swollen bodies that were laying out in the water, she looks so swollen. And I was beginning to get that look when I was heavy eating the bad foods too. And these people are so far gone. And then the fallacy of you're eating like white people. What do you mean by that? I know exactly what they mean, but what do you mean by that? They, if they're eating better than we are in our downtrodden state, they're eating like us originally. And they switched our habits originally, and we're eating the jacked up food, and they're doing the good stuff. And practices and lifestyle. Now, shut up after this. I got a bus route right now that goes through everywhere. Goes through a kind of affluent white neighborhood, goes to what we call a poor black hood, tourist areas, normal areas, commercial areas, everything. So I go past the whole stroll. I go past here. I see everything. And why is it that, I'm not saying all black people are criminals, right? But why is it when I see us running, it's either we're running for the bus or running from the cops? And why is it when I go to the more affluent, money-wise neighborhood, and some of those jokers may have a little more knowledge, they doing crack and coke behind closed doors too, right? But when I see them running, they running to keep themselves in optimal health. Why can't our sisters, I'm not saying all of our sisters don't, I applaud those who do, but it's not a white black thing, it's an attitude thing. It's a let me care for myself thing. I want to be around when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old, God willing. Unless something else happens to me, knock me down and take me out of here. Why do we push back our intensity on our health like that's something that we can't afford or we can't do? We can do so much. The beauty is not in the makeup. The beauty is not in slapping on the hair. The beauty is not in showing your ass or your cleavage that are toxic anyway because of the stuff that you got in. There's a lady who was putting a bike on the front of my bus. And, you know, they got the rack that you got to lower down. And she was well endowed up top, but she was trunk heavy, obese, and I mean, my God, her backside was so huge. I thought it was going to have to be a license plate back there so she could walk down the street legally. And when she bent down to lift up the rack, she smirked at me. She's trying to flirt. She smirked at me because she knew I could see all her cleavage. But see how we focus on how breasts have been sexualized in the society, and they're nice to look at. They don't a titty ain't hurt nobody, but I mean, we're focusing on just on one part. Look at your total being, lady. And you have no awareness that to be healthy is to be beautiful. Yes, there are other components, but focus on your health. You know what I mean? I mean, absolutely. Dudes who want a TF, titty F, you know, and some head, they'll focus on that because they ain't trying to be around you. If they loved you, they say, hey, listen, let's take a walk. Let's prepare our food. Let me help uplift you. And when you suggest so, they want to defend it and come at you like you were after them. And you don't want to subscribe to their version of their so-called beauty, which is just to incite lust. A healthy woman is a very beautiful woman, and it's beautiful to look at. And I give them compliments righteously. You know, you're really beautiful, not because of that little bit of makeup you got on, because I can see how you take care of yourself. And it's something about you that radiates, and it brings me to a higher level. So many ways to love a woman without trying to get her into bed. That exchange. I'm ranting. Let me shut up. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Mad Dogs.
I am. All right. What? Go ahead. I wasn't really prepared to take questions right this second, but go ahead.
You said that you can take questions in the chat for me. This is Marcus.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts about the transitioning into eating better?
Even before I go there, since you're on the line now, again, I wanted to apologize to you, man to man. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. And matter of fact, I think we met before. You know, I think we met here before and we got on good. So I don't want to ruin that. Before I answer your question and before I lose my chain of thought, I wanted to address Wenoir Monet. He said something that's very pertinent, and he said, "And preteen girls shouldn't be growing breasts so young."
Mm-hmm.
And that actually ties in to something I said earlier. Growing up in the West Indies, women never had bodies like these young girls here in America.
Ooh.
They did not have the hips, they did not have the breasts, they weren't as developed as this. Growing, you know, being in the UK, the women did not have bodies like these girls do today. The women or the girls, they did not menstruate as young as these girls do now. I mean, I have heard horror stories where women, well, I keep saying women, where girls as young as 9 are beginning to menstruate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not cool. But where that's coming from the milk. That's coming from the milk, and that's coming from anything that has added hormones. So that's why you see a difference with the girls today, why they have hips and thighs and breasts, and they're menstruating at 9 and 10 is from the milk,
Mm-hmm.
the hormones in the milk. You know what I'm saying? The young girls, they're already, here's the thing. The young girls are already hormonal. Their hormones are already, because they're women, so they're already starting to come into some sort of stature, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
And when you supplement that with milk and the hormones that's in the milk, that's throwing their balance off. That's throwing their hormonal balance off. So that's why you see that.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically that explains that. If you want to keep your daughters or your cousins and everybody else, if you want to keep that from happening, you definitely want to shut the whole milk thing down. Now, Marcus, your question was something about transitioning. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I was busy there.
You're good.
About transitioning when it comes to people who are not like myself or like yourself. I had to transition from eating bad foods to being a pescatarian, now a vegan, and cooking my food and steaming my food. What about people who are trying to transition to get to the point that we are at this moment?
Education. Learning. We're basically 3 hours into this show, and I don't think one person can say they didn't learn something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think not one person can say they didn't learn something. So, I spoke when we did the first show. When I heard the first show, I'm sorry, I was reading something. When we did the first show on health and wellness, I talked a lot about education. To me, education is the key. Education is definitely the key. So, my thing is basically read books. And to be honest, you don't have to. To be honest, when it comes to nutrition, at this point, you don't have to buy one single book. YouTube is an amazing resource. Like,
Yes.
for those of us who are older, for those of us who are late 30s and 40s or older, we didn't grow up with the internet. We didn't grow up with YouTube. YouTube is an amazing resource that is here to be taken advantage of.
That's right.
And like I said before, I recommend, either for ourselves or our loved ones, and especially the children. Like, I have a younger brother. My younger brother is 22.
Mm-hmm.
He can tell you, I tell him every single day, Man, TV is not important. You know, what did you learn from YouTube today?
You're
you know,
young.
You can practically.
He's Young Guns. You're Mad Guns, but he's Young Guns.
All right, he's Young Guns, no doubt. Basically, you can practically get a PhD off of YouTube right now. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of forums right now, and just in general on YouTube to watch, and in Google, you know, to read, and, you know, other videos that might be out there on Vimeo or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You can absolutely just learn. You know, that's the best thing. If you wanna, and if you really want to take it there, you can research the videos yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you mail them to people. I'm good for that. You know, everybody that I got love for can tell you, I'm always, I cannot watch the chat when I talk sometimes. It's just stuff that's crazy. And then my wife,
and I just want to say it.
My wife got a hot ass mouth, so she always saying something.
I just want to say it on the show that I'm doing some graphics right now, but I bounce in. So people who come in and say, "Hi, Lance," and I didn't answer, it's because I'm not there. And I'm kind of trying to catch up on some stuff while I talk. So I don't have to do it after, you know, because when I turn in, I'm going to turn in deep. You know what I mean?
Right.
But go ahead, man. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and just to clear it up, when I said PhD off of YouTube, not an actual PhD, I mean a knowledge. You know what I mean? You can have a PhD knowledge without having to go to school. You know what I mean? You don't. Do you really need that to enter the workforce? You need that you know, diploma, that certificate. I have those. But but if you're not entering the workforce, you don't need those.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can study all day. There are people that can tell you that, you know, when I'm in the kitchen, you know, you can obviously see how I roll. I cook from scratch. I cook live foods. So when I'm in the kitchen, I'm not watching television. I'm not listening to music. Very rarely do I listen to music. That's when I catch up on all my videos. That's when I catch up on my education. And that's something that's in my book as well, is for anybody that spends a lot of time in the kitchen, that's how you get through these things. You know, that's how, matter of fact, that's how you get through this. This is 3 hours plus now. So, you know, I don't necessarily expect people to, sit there and, you know, listen to this for 3 hours, especially if you're in the workforce. But when you're in the kitchen, you know, you can definitely get through half of that.
You'd be
surprised.
What I'm saying?
You'd be surprised.
Truck drivers, jogging, walking.
Exactly. When I'm not working, dude, I'm literally, when you count all day long, there's times where I'm in the kitchen 3 hours a day, literally 3 hours a day. 3 hours is a long time to learn something. A long time to learn something. You know what I mean? So, so absolutely. You know, so that's how I would say to, you know, help people. And it's about teaching the young ones. Like, here's the thing. You got to get to the children when they're young. You know, once they get acclimated and brainwashed into the society, you know, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to bring them back. You know, it's hard to recover them. So, you know, if you've been buying your cousin or your children McDonald's since they first got a chance to, they'll always want that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, kids will eat at McDonald's every day if you let them. They're children. They don't care. We know that. If a child will eat it, an adult may not. But also, I do know adults that I've actually known a woman that ate at Wendy's like 4 or 5 times a week. I knew 2 women like that.
I know bus drivers like that.
Oh, come on, man. That's ridiculous, man. I mean, how can you eat that every day? But you gotta get to the children and let them know. You know what I'm saying? It's about, again, the key, one word, education. Because if you educate the children and you educate people, they'll get it. Teach the children that this stuff isn't good for you. And you have to, don't be, I'm sorry to say this, don't be no bitch ass as a parent. You're the parent. You wear the shoes, you pay the bills. What did I say on the last show? 3 times. I don't know no 12-year-olds that have their own condos. Not one. Not even the rich kids. Okay, I don't know no 6-year-old whipping a vehicle and paying their rent. You wear the pants. You pay the bills.
That's right.
So basically, you know what I'm saying? You have to put your foot down. You have to teach them. Just because your friends do something don't mean you can do it. Just because your parents allow their children to do something doesn't mean you should do it. Everything you see, what is one of the dumbest things? Well, I mean, not dumb, but the corniest things parents say. Well, you know, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge as well? You know what I mean? Parents say that all the time. Well, there you go. You know what I'm saying? You are not supposed to eat that stuff. And for people, here's another thing I catch when I see people eating McDonald's. There's a lot of people that are vegetarians. You know, vegetarians and vegans are two different things. But there are a lot of people that are vegetarians that don't eat meat, but they'll enjoy some McDonald's French fries every now and again. People do not know that there's beef extract in the French fries.
Mm-hmm.
So as good as McDonald's French fries are, and I do miss them, they are good.
Yes.
I don't eat beef.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't eat beef, you might want to stay away from McDonald's French fries. You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of vegetarians make that mistake. You know what I mean? So again, you teach your children that fast food isn't right. And here's the thing, except the very complicated things, which I don't really think any of this is complicated,
right.
But you teach your children this stuff. Teach your children this stuff. Make your children sit down and watch. I don't expect a child to sit through an hour video or a half an hour video, but make them watch a 10-minute video. There's a whole bunch of 5-minute videos out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of 10-minute videos out there that teach you something. You know, I might have learned a quarter of what I know from little quick hitters. You know what I'm saying? That's what I call short videos. Lance don't know how to do a quick hitter.
You know that.
Yeah, Lance don't know how to do a quick hitter. His quickest hitter is like an hour.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? So Lance don't know how to do a quick hitter. But a lot of people do quick hitters, man. They hit you off, man. I mean, again. And when if I get a chance and I get to some of the doctors, you know, a little later, you know, again, I urge you to write this down. I urge you to listen to it, you know, and let your kids watch these little 5-minute videos talking about fast food, you know, and, you know, kids are impressionable. You know, what's a kid's, one of the favorite words children use is what? Yuck or yucky. You know what I'm saying? So there might be something, you know, that you show your kids is not cool. And they may say, yuck, you know, that's yucky. Matter of fact, just used that word yesterday. You know what I mean? A little girl in my neighborhood, you know, we were talking, you know, me, her, and her aunt. And, you know, we threw around the words yuck and yucky, and it was cute. It kind of made my day a little bit. But, you know, again, show your kids videos, you know, Marcus, show the kids videos, make them read books. You know, reading is a lost art, as you know, you know, so there you go. So that's how I say, you know, transition for the children and for the adults. You know what I mean? When you listen to a doctor who can break things down much more eloquent than myself, and you know, you watch a video that really breaks it down, you'll be like, you know what? I can't really do that. You know what I mean? I can't do that. I can't eat this anymore. And, you know, again, I think you were with me from the beginning. You know, I admitted that, you know, I was actually poisoning myself. We all learn, we all evolve. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I went from doing literally hundreds of dollars, you know, worth of sports nutrition products to, you know, $0. So, you know, there you go. So that's how you do it. Education, and, you know, make the kids or teens or young adults or adults, make them read, make them watch videos. That's how you do it. You know, that's how you do it. That's how you do it, you know, and get them off the, you know, this again, this food out here is no good. It's the junkiest, junkety McJunkie junk of the junk foods. So, you know, you want to stay, you know, keep them out of Murder King and Taco Hell and all this other stuff. You know, it's incessant with the adverts. And here's another thing. Oh, advert is basically a British way of saying commercial.
Right.
Another thing is, and let me say hi to my sister, Colleen. I remember meeting her before. That's my sister from the UK, Colleen McLean. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
We spoke a lot about the UK. She knows a lot about where I used to live and stuff, so that's really cool. And in general, it's 3:09 in the morning, and I don't care what time zone you're in. Lance and I both appreciate you being here,
yes,
and sticking with us and learning. And you know, the only thing that we really ask, or the only thing that, you know, I definitely ask, is you spread this.
yes, share it.
You know, diseases is not the only things that could be spread. Colds and flus,
right,
not the only thing that could be spread. Spread education, spread knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And especially for the people of color that are here, let me address everyone, but especially the people of color, because we are the ones who lived in impoverished neighborhoods. They are trying to kill us. They are not bombing us yet. You know, they're not shooting us in mass. You know, the police are shooting us one by one, you know, once or twice a week. You know, that's their quota, once or twice a week, you know, kill a black man or black woman.
They,
you know,
only kill us, baby, once or twice a week, once or twice. Remember that song?
What song is that?
10%.
Or did you just make that up? Is that a real song?
10%.
Or you just made that up?
10% or something. Who made that? Double Exposure. Go on YouTube and search it. Double Exposure. 10% or something. When he said, I only see you, baby, once or twice a week. So I said, they only kill us, baby, once or twice a week. I get like that in the middle of the night. I'm sorry for the outburst. I have musical Tourette's.
Lance, you always apologizing like you ain't supposed to talk. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? But yes, you know, again, people are, you know, the powers that be are attacking us. Right now, they're using the slow kill methodology.
Right.
So before the guns and before the bombs and before the FEMA camps and before the FEMA caskets and before the foreign troops and people, yes, y'all can sleep on it if you want. There will be foreign troops on American soil. So, you know, there you go.
Right.
Right now, they are using the industrial food complex to, you know, to kill us slowly, and chemtrails, but that's another show. And but that's what they're doing. So again, if you love yourself and you love your race, you know what I'm saying? You got to teach them to not eat this stuff, you know? And for the most part, most of the stuff in the supermarket, and I use the word I wanted to use, most of the stuff in the supermarket, most of the stuff in your store, most of the stuff, you know, most of the stuff in your bodega, if you're in New York, if you're in England, a lot of the stuff that's in Waitrose and Tesco and Sainsbury's, it's meant to sit there. It's got stuff in it. Colleen could appreciate that. And Tesco, you know, Tesco's is like my favorite. I like Tesco and Sainsbury's and the Waitrose. That's for my British people. I had to go there. But yeah, the stuff is meant to sit there on the shelf. And if it's meant to sit there on the shelf for an amount of time, it's not good for our bodies. It's not good for our digestive systems. So, you know, once again, you know, we got to be very, very, very careful. We got to be very, very careful.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So that's what's up. You know, you got to be careful. I don't know if we're going to get to it now. It's up to Lance if he's ready to shut it down or whatever, because Lance has a lot of stuff to do today. And I would remind people that Lance is doing a very important show today. You know, yes. That's why I'm here, and that's why y'all here. We love Lance because he covers a wide array of topics. You know, we're doing health and wellness tonight. You know, in a few hours, Lance is going to be talking about, you know, police brutality. And I love that. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about education, you're being educated here. This is not really entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, well, I was about to say ain't nobody singing in the damn. I remember Lance was saying a minute ago.
No, I can't sing.
You know, ain't nobody, he's singing, but ain't nobody shucking and jiving. Ain't no entertainment here. You know what I'm saying?
We drop some words and little phrases and we keep it light just to keep a little humor, but you know, it's all about, you know, it's all about the truth and, you know,
exactly.
And the energy, and your energy is phenomenal all the time. And when you flow, it's just phenomenal. And it's chock full of knowledge. Every syllable is chock full of knowledge. So to your Johnny Carson, I'll always be your Ed McMahon.
All right. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yo, Ed McMahon made a whole lot of money doing what he did. I'll be Ed
heck
McMahon.
yeah, for real.
Straight up. Straight up. You could pay me to sit on the couch and just laugh.
Yeah, for real. That's what he did too.
Straight up. Straight up.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much good, Lance. If you're ready to shut it down,
Yeah,
we
can shut it down. But wind it down. Give it a little 10 minutes, whatever, and get the last little bit. And this is a continuous thing. It's never the last little bit.
Exactly. That's always, why I said this is in parts.
Yeah. And we can hype. And like I said, I got a couple things to do tomorrow. And plus the show tomorrow is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Former LAPD cop speaks on racist police killing unarmed blacks. But it goes deeper than that. This dude guarded OJ's house with Mark Furman, and he wrote books on the racism and the stuff inside the department. He spoke on Christopher Dormer from years ago. He has so much to say, and it's deep. Not to take away from this show, I'm just saying that's what's coming. I got to confirm with a call with him early in the morning. He's a very busy man. He's been on Anderson Cooper TV, the so-called mainstream media, and they're not letting him talk the way he wants to talk, but his books talk for him. But he reached out to me and he said, listen, I listened to a few of the shows. I know you'll let me go in deep. So we said, okay. I said, what time is good for you? He said 12 o'clock his time. He's on the West Coast. So that's 3 o'clock for me. I said, whatever time is good for you. And so he's going to go in deep, and the chat room will be open. I don't know if the open line is going to be open until toward the end, if he's going to take calls. But I'll leave the open lines open, but not to just come in out of nowhere. We want to let him let it all out. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I know he's going to get right to the point. And it's going to be haters who are going to be listening to that, who are in the police force, and people say, oh, you're not a cop. So here it is, a former LAPD. He was on the force over 10 years, I believe. So come on now, he knows what he's talking about, and he named names before in the book. He's going to tell it. He's going to tell it, and he's established with it. He's not just some rogue person who went to an academy and was on the force for 2 months and thought he saw something. But I mean, he'll tell it. I put it up in the Lance Scurv talk show room. The link is up on my YouTube channel, so you can kind of read. And I have another link which I'm going to drop in now. That's from youreb.com, and that way you get a really bit before everybody else does. We go drop this in right now so you can read this about him, and we'll do it that way.
All right.
There it is. Yes, thank you so much, Queen. But I just popped back in the chat room. I'm gonna pop back out. But yeah, let's wrap it down, and I'm gonna hit the sack. Had a really exciting day today. And I have a big, exciting day tomorrow. A lot of things I have to accomplish on so many fronts. And just thank you, man, for your energy. But sprinkle us some more. Let's shift down and wind down. And, like that plane that finally landed, let's ease on and taxi into the destination. And you wrap it up. And give us 10 minutes. Mm-hmm.
This was part 2 of the Health and Wellness Show with Mad Guns Forever on the Lance Scurv Show. Today we covered so much, or this morning rather. We talked about the supplement game and sports nutrition. We talked about cooking and the lack thereof. We talked about the African-American diet and the American diet, or the SAD diet. There's an acronym called SAD, the SAD diet, which is the Standard American Diet. We talked, we talked about those 3 things, and, sprinkled in some other things as well. In show number 3, I got to slide some of that other stuff back. It might be show number 4 now, but I definitely want to discuss Big Pharma.
Sure.
That has a lot to do as well with health and wellness, and also our digestive systems, because for people that take pills, and I don't mean in a bad way, for people that take pain pills, legitimately, right. OxyContin, Percocet, things like that. Mm-hmm. When you take those kind of pills, those kind of things, they constipate you, and they also mess up your gut health and your digestive system. Mm-hmm. So we got to talk about Big Pharma. We're going to talk about the holistic Dr. Deaths. I hope to have my boy on there too, Mr. Grimm. I got to shout at him. And those 2 things might fill it up. But if I get a minute, we'll talk about the vaccination deception. Right. I recommend that you do not vaccinate yourselves and that you do not vaccinate your children. And this is a perfect time as we are getting ready to enter October and it's chilly already. Do not, by any means, I do not care what lie you have been told, do not take the flu shot. I have heard 1,000 stories about people taking a flu shot and coming down with the flu. What kind of shit is that? Like, seriously, I'm taking something, I'm getting a vaccination to stop me from getting something, and then I get it. So we're going to talk about the stuff that's in this stuff, you know what I mean? And, you know, if you're a vegan, you definitely don't want to be taking the flu shot because there's animal protein in there. So never, 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 never take a freaking flu shot. Just getting the flu is better than taking a damn flu shot. Just get the damn flu.
Just right. Let your body build up a natural. Exactly.
The flu will put you down for a few days, but the flu shot's going to kill you. It's going to be a slow death, but the flu shot's going to kill you. No flu shots. That's right. There's some people that know. Colleen knows. My wife knows. Sweetberry knows. Don't take the flu shot. Tone Stone. There is animal protein in it. And there's a lot of insidious stuff in the flu shot. I don't have all my notes in front of me. And that's why it's, you know, for another show. But again, don't take the flu shot. And again, uninformed vegetarians, uninformed vegans, if you take the flu shot, you might as well just eat a piece of chicken because this chicken, you know, there's chicken protein in it. You know what I'm saying? Or chicken embryo protein in it. So, you know, again, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But in show number 3, which I hope everybody comes to, and bring somebody, you know, here's the thing. If you loved it, if you liked the conversation, you know, bring somebody, you know, especially, you know, if you're on the left coast, you know what I mean? You know, you are hours behind us, you know what I mean? So it's 3:21, but if you're on the left coast, you're 3 hours behind, you know, that's what's up. And Colleen, if you are actually home in the UK, you are really trooping right now because it's 8:21 in the morning.
Hell yeah.
So for my sister Colleen, if you are indeed, I'm not sure if she's in the States, but if you are home, that's what's up. I mean, you're amazing me right now because 8 in the morning, I'm still sleeping. So I show you love. But anyway, in show 3, I definitely want to talk about bread. The way I have it titled is everybody's favorite, bread. Bread is not what you think it is. So, and everybody eats bread or loves bread. You know what I'm saying? Especially for people that don't have gluten issues, for people that are not gluten intolerant. You eat bread. Bread is not what you think it is. I'm going to go in on bread. And I want to get to what made me want to write my book in the first place, which is working out and the woman of color. When I moved to Atlanta, again, 11 years ago, I saw a lot of women who just didn't go to the gym, and a lot of pretty women. There's a lot of pretty women in Atlanta, and there's a lot of pretty women who just do not work out, you know, and like we talked about, and even like you brought up one day talking about, you know, the women on your bus. And I remember it was Deep Lance, you know, you were talking about, you could smell them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, you can smell them, like, you know, they don't smell good. So, you know, I mean, that means, you know, you're not eating right. And that means you're not working out. So that inspired me to write my book, you know what I'm saying? Which was really my first book that I wanted to write, was really a workout book. And it was directed towards my sisters, my women of color, you know, my Spanish sisters as well. That's why I say women of color. You know, I got to Atlanta and see these women carrying around these big boilers. And, you know, you definitely can't carry a boiler and say, you know, I eat right and I work out. You know, you definitely don't. So, you know, you got to be careful. So, you know, again, that's what inspired me to begin working on my book, you know, Working Out in the Black Woman. Actually, the title of my book at first was called The Excuse Book. You know, when I used to, as a trainer, working at Crunch, I used to ask, you know, women, I used to invite women to the gym, you know, especially when I was single, like, come to the gym, you know what I mean? And you'd be surprised on how many women would not take me up on that offer.
Right.
But yet I bet if I said, let's go to the movies, let's go to the restaurant, or, hey, even better, let's go shopping, my phone would have rang 10 minutes later. You know what I'm saying? But I used to give out my card and say, come to the gym, come to the gym. I'm not charging you, you know, for a session. I got you for free. Who don't like free? Even rich people like free stuff. Wouldn't come. I got mad. I mean, that really bothered me. It shook me a little bit. So that's what inspired me to want to write my book. You know what I'm saying? Was like, man, come on. You know, you got a nice, I ain't trying to pat myself on the back, but you know, you got a handsome chocolate brother saying, come to the gym for free, you know, to give you a free session, and you don't come, you know, that's something you missing. You know what I'm saying? And that's showing a,
see, they're not looking at it that way. They're not looking at it that way. It's you're taking them out of their comfort zone where they have in their mind some kind of advantage because they're not really about improvement. So why go there? It's like a guy who's trying to get sex from a Christian woman, and she's like, well, let's go to the all-night prayer. He's like, he'll find a way to get out of it because he'll sit down for an hour in a service if he can end up in your house to get between them legs. So I'm not saying the woman is no good. It's just that that's not her area. She's not going to feel good around other women who are really in shape, even though they're going to have women who are not in shape in the gym. But that's out of her area. So she can't throw off the same way. So, you know, like you said, if she wanted to, you know, if you said something else, let's go eat here, let's go hang out here, let's go to the movies, let's go here, let's go to the club. Oh, she'd love that. This stereotypical, you know, theoretical person. That shows you a lot. So you being a person who's into this, and whatever your status is, say you were single, if you are single, or if you're not, whatever, a single man should see that and say, you know what, I'm into keeping myself a certain way, and this is one wing of it. If she's not interested in the body, the physical part, which entails the spiritual, right, then she's not going to be interested in how I cook. You see what I mean? So that's not going to work. And some people go to these gyms to front just to get a man or just to get a woman, but they're not really about that life.
Exactly. It ain't about exactly. It's one of my favorite terms. It ain't about that life.
We mean it in a good way.
That life.
That's right.
Because the last word in that phrase is life. Life. I'm about that life because you know, look, I don't care what happens in the world. You know, I don't know when the Creator is you know, is planning to take me, but I tell you what, I'm not going to try to meet him early.
Right.
But let's put it that way. Whenever he decides it's time, but I ain't trying to meet him early.
Right.
And neither should you. So, you know, there you go. So yeah, I definitely, and I want to talk about, again, I want to talk about bread. I want to talk about women of color and working out. I want to give people a list of doctors. And I also want to talk about ice cream. Yes, I'm going to talk about ice cream.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, again, it's like bread. Who doesn't like ice cream? You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely going to talk about ice cream. And I want to, you know, maybe even touch on the foods of biblical times. You know, I want to talk about foods from, you know, the first world foods, put it that way. You know what I mean? And again, you know, just try to do this. You know, my father imparted me with this knowledge. He imparted me with a thirst to get knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna spread it. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and being a part of this. I think this is, you know, probably the best thing going on YouTube today and yesterday. No, we actually didn't start yesterday. We started today. We started at 12, so we started today. So when I say thanks for coming out today, thank you. I really want to thank Vlognosis. I literally told Tim 3 minutes before the show started, and he hung out the whole time. I want to thank him. I want to thank Vet 8000. She went off on a tangent in the chat room talking about the church system. So I definitely want to invite you when we talk about that system. Lance does do shows on that sometimes. So at Vet 8000, you should, you know, stay subscribed and come through, you know, that way you could really talk about it when we're concentrating and talking about religion. So you should definitely come through on that. Warrior Goddess, love you. Thank you for coming through. You might have went in on me a little bit. I think I might have roughed up your boo bear, but shit, I'm rough, boo. I'm rough. My wife rough, I'm rough. We will rough anybody up. I will beat anybody. If you make me, if you threaten me, I will do what I have to do. So, you know, we rough, you know, we do what we got to do. You know what I mean? So I'm a little rough, but, you know, I apologize 3 times. So there you go. J Mass, Ton Stone, Colleen, my sister from across the pond. Cheers. She understands. C485. Queen Common Sense. I think I said J Math. Renoir. I'm saying something that made me address something. So thank you for that as well. He made me talk about milk. So that was great. Sweet Berry, you always here. You already know what time it is. False Narratives. Nande, I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for coming through. Brother Marcus, thank you for coming through. Everybody, thank you for coming through. You know what I'm saying? It's about y'all. You know what I'm saying? Me and Lance could talk on the phone and do this, you know, if it's just me and him. You know, I have a conference call with 4 people.
We gotta do a grown-ass man talk like we had that morning when we spoke just on a grown-ass man level.
Yeah.
That would
we gotta do that.
Yeah, we gotta do something like that. That was a good vibe. That set my day off really well. And
I appreciate that, brother.
No, it's the truth, man. You always bring good energy. And
all right, thank you.
I was a dynamo that day when we were talking, and it just fired me up, and I was just going at life. You know?
All right. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Well, I hope I got almost everybody. You know, we've had between 24 and 30 people. I think I got everybody. Again, yes. To my wife, my darling wife. Happy birthday. Hope you're not enjoying your birthday a little too much. We're going to obviously talk when the show's over. And thank everybody for coming through.
Yes.
Well, I see you a little late. I did thank you, and you already know this is for the public. You know, I'm gonna thank you later. Babe, you know, I'm gonna thank you later. I'm gonna thank you in a way you can't ever thank everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, about to thank you in a minute, babe. Anyway, I'm about to get myself in trouble.
It's a good, healthy kind of trouble.
So, Judy Badeau, I'm sorry, I actually didn't notice you earlier. Thank you for coming out as well. And just thank everybody. I'm pretty much done with my soliloquy.
Yes.
Thank you again. I hope that you learned a whole lot. You know what I mean? Again, share this, send a link.
I did.
You know, Marcus, when you asked again, how do you get people to change? You know, one way is send them the link. Say, please watch, you know, and I'm not even talking about just this, you know, if you heard me earlier, find other places. I'm going to be talking about doctors and a couple of other YouTube channels that are teaching channels. You know, get away from this entertainment. You know, YouTube is a place where, again, you can learn or you could dumb out. I don't dumb out. First word in dumb out is dumb. I don't dumb out. You know what I'm saying? Life is short, and I'm a king. You know, I'm a king. I don't have a castle, but I'm a black king. Let's not forget that. Marcus, you a king. All the black men in the chat, you know, y'all is kings. You know, truth, Allah, justice, you a king. We all kings, my kings. We got to be kings. You know, we got to think kingly. Right. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't have kingdoms in a traditional sense, you know what I'm saying? We're kings. Let's think like kings. Let's walk like kings. Let's love like kings. Let's learn like kings. Let's be kings. And that's how we do it. You know what I'm saying? We may be doing part 3 next week.
Yes, we are.
Tune in.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
So that's what's up. Thanks to everyone. Good blessings to everyone. Everybody have a safe weekend, especially if you're on the East Coast where the weather is nasty. Be careful.
Hurricanes coming.
And that's what's up. Yeah. Lance, it's all you.
Okay. Well, you know, that's a good energy. We're going to wrap it down. I'm just going to say download the Scurv app at the Google Play Store, the Amazon Store, the App Store. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit me up anytime. Show suggestions, interviews that you want to do. Doesn't matter if you're on the street, on the curb, or in the highest office of the land. We will deal. I talk to everybody. It's all about the human experience. If you're close, come to me. I come to you. If you're in Florida, I'll come to you. I do speaking engagements. I'll talk your ears off guaranteed and titillate you and all of that good stuff. But make sure to download the app and subscribe to the channel. And I apologize for not going in on with everybody in the room, but I have several things to do. I'll probably be up for another 30 minutes doing some more work. I got to hit the sack, get up, do some more stuff. And 3 o'clock today, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have the show with our friend Brian S. Bentley, the LAPD, former LAPD officer who has spilled the beans of truth on what really goes on over there. So no matter how much they got Rodney King's daughter to speak with them, the LAPD, and say, well, things are different now and they want this new image, they're only putting cake icing on feces. It's the same stuff going on. But you all take care. Have a wonderful night. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. And we're going to rip through this weekend and do a whole lot more. Take care.
Talk show, bringing you the realest, uncensored conversations with the boldest man on the net, Lance Scurv.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Get some sleep now, y'all.